Chapter 37. I will, saying so, Gu Qingshan held the bow in her hand and carefully looked at it. Sure enough, she saw two small characters on it. Night Rain. Gu Qingshan circulated her spirit energy and infused it into the night rain. The bow became blurry and disappeared from Gu Qingshan's sight. Gu Qingshan could feel that she was holding the bow, but she couldn't see it, not even her inner sight could sense it. That's not all. Very quickly, Gu Qingshan's presence also disappeared. He was standing still, but his body seemed to be isolated from the world. If you didn't see him, you wouldn't be able to sense his existence at all. Good bow, Gu Qingshan praised. At this time, the faceless giant was right in front of them. In the forest far away, a few dozen ghostly flame serpents carrying the bloodthirster were running towards them. Ning Yuechan pulled out a shiny blade, looked at the faceless giant and said, "If the 5 elemental formation doesn't work on it, I'll go." Gongsun Ji nodded and said, "I won't attack this demon, leave the others to me. You protect him." Ning Yuechan swung the blade and said without looking back. Gongsun Ji glanced at Gu Qingshan, held back his laughter and said, "Of course, Ning Yuechan is a blade user?" Gu Qingshan couldn't help but look at the blade. This blade is about 2 inches longer than normal blades. The blade itself is very narrow. From the handle to the tip of the blade, it's a straight line. This is a straight blade used by female cultivators. Compared to the broad scimitars used by male cultivators, it's a bit more flexible. Wind shadow. Buzzing slash. Ning Yuechan shouted in a low voice. The blade in her hand gave off layers of blue light, enveloping both her and the blade. Around the blue light, golden threads appeared out of thin air, then disappeared, occasionally letting out a buzzing sound. At this moment, she was like a long saber that emitted a sharp killing intent. Gu Qingshan was startled. Dual attributes of the 5 elements. Furthermore, it was the rare assistance of the metal wind. The wind spiritual energy of the mutated 5 elements, according to the advanced stages, from lowest to highest were swift speed, rapid combo, wind shadow, astral wind turbulence, apocalyptic wind calamity, etc. Ning Yuechan's wind elemental awakening had reached the 3rd stage, which was quite an achievement for her age. Many nascent soul cultivators who had awakened wind spirit power could only reach this level in their entire life. That was not all. Ning Yuechan had also activated the metal element to the 3rd stage, buzz cut. Very few people could awaken 2 of the 5 elements at the same time. Even if they did, they could only focus on one of them. It was difficult for them to do both at the same time, let alone perfectly fusing them to form a combat power that was greater than 1 + 1. But Ning Yuechan did it. Looking at how calm she was, it didn't take much effort at all. Gu Qingshan silently sighed. This girl is truly a monster. No wonder later generations said that if she was still alive, in just a few decades, she would be able to fight against the Demon King. The only thing that's a bit regretful is that there aren't many saber manuals in this world, and the cultivator's understanding of the saber isn't that great. Rather than using a saber, it's better to use other weapons. Ning Yuechan raised her saber, staring at the approaching faceless giant. Her aura kept rising. Gu Qingshan's eyes fell on the saber, couldn't help but ask, "Why did you choose a saber as your weapon?" Spears and spears are clumsy, swords are hypocritical, sabers are martyrs. Moving forward without fear, Ning Yuechan answered seriously. Spears and spears are clumsy, swords are hypocritical, sabers are martyrs. Moving forward without hesitation, Gu Qingshan was surprised. Ning Yuechan glanced at him and said, "From now on, you're not allowed to use a sword." Saying so, she bent her body, flew up into the sky, straight into the depths of the blue sky. Following that, the faceless giant's earth-shattering roar resounded from the clouds. "Don't mind her." Gongsun Ji patted Gu Qingshan's shoulder. "She used to use a sword as well. Then why did she change to a saber?" She had a very close senior brother who was a sword cultivator. He trained with her every day, even teaching her swordsmanship. But then he betrayed her. From then on, she especially hated swords, and hated sword cultivators, beating them up as soon as she saw them. Gu Qing-shan asked, "What's that supposed to mean? No one cares about her." Gong Sun-ji smiled bitterly. "As her elders, we also want to uphold justice, but who told her to be Ningyue-chan? Those sword cultivators who tried to get close to her, but couldn't help but want to touch her, so they deserve to be beaten up. Beat them up as soon as she saw them, to kill them?" Gu Qing-shan pondered. "That's not necessarily the case. For the past few years, she's always beaten them until they're begging for mercy. Only then will she stop," Gong Sun-ji said. Gu Qing-shan recalled herself begging for mercy in front of Ningyue-chan, and quickly shook her head. Seeing Gu Qing-shan's confused look, Gong Sun-ji thought for a bit, then consoled her. "Don't be afraid, you're not a sword cultivator, it'll be fine." "I am a sword cultivator," Gu Qing-shan silently thought. But ever since her return, she still hasn't touched a sword, so for the time being, she won't offend this terrifyingly strong girl. I've saved her life. I won't be beaten until I'm begging for mercy, right? If I really can't, I'll just hide far away and wait until my swordsmanship is back to normal. While Gu Qing-shan was thinking, a loud sound came from the sky. Boom! A black shadow fell from the clouds, crashing into the ground. "How are you?" Gu Qing-shan ran over and asked in a hurry. Ningyue-chan stood up and whispered, "I'm fine." "You hide yourself." A few moments later, a vast blade phantom enveloped Ningyue-chan, her snow-white cloak fluttering in the wind. Wearing her golden armor, she flew up from the crater in the ground, trying to fly above the clouds. "Evildoer, die!" Her delicate voice came from the sky. A loud and distant cry of pain came from the depths of the clouds. This was the faceless giant's cry. The recovered Ningyue-chan was able to fight against the faceless giant head-on. That's ridiculous. The exciting battle in the sky was still going on. Gu Qing-shan sighed, muttering, "She looks quiet and gentle, but when she fights she doesn't care about her life." Sure enough, blade users are all desperados. "You're the desperado." An angry voice came to her mind. This was Ningyue-chan's voice. Gu Qing-shan was surprised, then a bit dejected. He looked up, the thick clouds blocked his vision, but he could still feel Ningyue-chan glaring at him from the sky. "Damn it, I forgot, she's able to fight against the faceless giant head-on. Her cultivation is at least rejuvenation realm, maybe even higher. With such a high cultivation, the range of her inner sight is very wide. Anything I say will be heard by her." Gu Qing-shan rationally shut his mouth. In this life, Ningyue-chan is no longer affected by the poison. Her body is also slowly recovering. Her fate will most likely be different from history. While he was thinking, he suddenly noticed the bloodthirster demons in the forest in front of him. Below them were the natural fire elemental assassins, ghostly flame serpents. The demon army's assault force has caught up. They appeared without a sound, quickly running towards Gu Qing-shan and Gong Sun-ji. The famous encirclement in history officially began at this moment. Gong Sun-ji's expression was cold, tapping his inventory bag, and took out a delicate formation plate. "I can't kill the faceless giant, but dealing with you guys is no problem," he spoke in a low voice. As Gu Qing-shan was about to raise his bow, his body suddenly froze. His entire body was nailed to the ground, unable to move. Countless streams of data flowed like a waterfall in front of his eyes. A cold mechanical system notification was heard. Detected that the user has triggered a unique historical storyline. Current conditions meet activation criteria. Chapter 38. What's going on? Gu Qing-shan's expression changed, quickly looking at the war god UI. A streak of light flashed across the war god UI, turning into a few lines of red text in the middle of the screen. Break the chains of fate, change history that has already been decided. User Gu Qing-shan has entered a destiny quest. Quest description. Gong Sun-ji and Ningyue-chan are fallen characters buried deep within history. If you can change their fate, you'll be able to change the course of history. Quest objective. Save Gongsun Ji and Ning Yuechan. After the quest is completed, you'll receive a special storyline reward, War God's Thaumaturgy Unique. If the quest is failed, the user will be erased. Gu Qingshan read it all in one breath, then froze. Me? Save them? He bitterly smiled. I'll be erased if the quest is failed? How interesting. It sounds like if the quest is failed, the demons will be generous enough to let me go. Gu Qingshan looked up at the sky. A battle at the level of the faceless giant, with Gu Qingshan's current strength. He can't interfere at all. But if he wants to run away with more and more demons around him, it's almost impossible to escape alone. Even if he can run away, the system has already given him the quest. He can't live alone. If Gongsun Ji and Ning Yuechan die, he'll be erased as well. Gu Qingshan looked forward again. The demon army is madly charging forward, about to enter their firing range. The situation has reached its most critical point. Gongsun Ji's hands were like butterflies flying through flowers, quickly hitting the formation plate, shouting, "Mountain Burial Formation!" The earth rumbled, 5 mountains rose from the ground, squeezing dozens of gray flame serpents and bloodthirsters inside, squeezing them back and forth like a millstone. As the mountains rose higher and higher, the pressure between them also increased, squeezing a lot of gray flame serpents into a bloody mess. Suddenly, an underworld flame serpent fell from the mountain peaks and smashed onto the ground, dying. Gu Qingshan's eyes flickered. He pulled out an arrow, placed it on the longbow named Night Rain, and raised his hand to shoot. This was a custom-made arrow. The arrowhead was made by Gu Qingshan using the venomous fangs of the python demon. Its power was incomparable to ordinary arrows. There was a swoosh. The arrow pierced into the ghost flame evil snake's body, deeply penetrating its internal organs. The venom on the python demon's fangs instantly took effect, and the unlucky ghostly fire evil snake quickly died. The ghostly flame serpent is a high-tier demon beast, so its ability to sense danger is very strong. But in front of the night rain, it couldn't sense its death at all. Gu Qingshan tightened her grip on her longbow, and her impression of Ning Yuechan increased. Gongsun Ji turned around and nodded approvingly at him. Very good. Shoot more arrows. It's best if you don't give them a chance to attack. All right. Gu Qingshan took out another arrow and suddenly had an idea. A notification popped up in his thoughts. See. Killed high-tier monster. Ghostly flame serpent, gained 20 soul points, current soul points, 21/7. You can do that? Gu Qingshan didn't expect that. The amount of soul points he has now far exceeds his maximum soul point. When killing low-tier demon beasts, once the amount of soul points reaches the limit, he can't accumulate anymore. This gave Gu Qingshan a headache. The ghostly flame serpent is a high-tier demon beast, equivalent to a human foundation establishment realm cultivator, much higher than Gu Qingshan's cultivation. After killing the ghostly flame serpent, the amount of soul points he accumulated reached 21, enough to learn a lot of skills. From the looks of it, the War God UI really encourages players to challenge opponents stronger than themselves. Once they win, they can ignore the soul points limit and accumulate even more soul points. Gu Qingshan slowly understood, so he put the night rain away and switched to the military bow, learning the precision skill. I choose to comprehend precision. Precision has been comprehended. Soul points used. 4 current soul points. 17/7. A warm feeling flowed from the military bow into Gu Qingshan's mind. A few moments later, Gu Qingshan understood what precision is. He picked up a normal arrow, aiming at a dying ghostly flame serpent that fell from the 5th peak. Shah! The ghostly flame serpent felt danger, instinctively wanted to dodge, but its wounds were too heavy, it couldn't move. The arrow pierced through the ghostly flame serpent's eye socket, pierced deep into its skull and took its life. So that's why precision means to increase accuracy, Gu Qingshan understood. Killed high-tier monster. Ghostly flame serpent, gained 20 soul points, current soul points, 37 to 7 Gu Qingshan put down the military bow and switched to the Night Rain. He opened the War God UI and quickly scanned through the skills of the Night Rain. Bow name. Night Rain used the following skills. Number 1, Bombardment User. Ning and Nan Soul Points Cost. 10. Number 2, Precision User. Ning Yuechan Soul Points Cost. 6. Third, Great Piercing Strike User. Ning and Nan Soul Points Cost. 15. Number 4, Riding Wind Passive Skill User. Ning and Nan Soul Points Cost. 5. Ning and Nan, that's the name of Ning Yuechan's father. Seems like this bow is, as Ning Yuechan said, the Ning family's heirloom. Thinking that, Gu Qingshan silently looked through the skills again. Precision U can increase accuracy based on a precision U, while Riding Wind has a higher accuracy than a precision. Riding Wind is a passive skill, able to increase the arrow's flying speed without needing to use it. Bombardment is a powerful archery skill, able to greatly increase the arrow's damage. This was a gift from Ning Yuechan, to thank him for saving her life. Now that the demons are invading, according to history, Saintess Ning Yuechan will soon fall into a desperate situation, fighting for a day and a night before falling. But this time, history was different. With Gu Qingshan's help, the poison in her body was cleared and her body quickly recovered. In this life, the fate of Ning Yuechan's death finally showed a glimmer of hope. Because of the cycle of karma, Ning Yuechan once again gave such a powerful family heirloom bow to Gu Qingshan. With this bow and the powerful skills on it, Gu Qingshan will also become stronger. Gu Qingshan looked at the Night Rain, feeling emotional. Such a powerful archery skill, normally, no cultivator would easily teach it to others. But now I have the chance to learn this high-leveled archery skill. Gu Qingshan did not hesitate and immediately made a decision. A total of 36 soul points, huh? I choose to comprehend them all. As he made his choice, the system's cold voice sounded. Comprehension complete, soul points used. 36 remaining soul points. 1/7 inch accuracy has been upgraded to accuracy. Accuracy has been upgraded to great shot. Player has learned Wind Rider. Player has learned Bombardment. A burning flame flowed out from the Night Rain, flowing straight into Gu Qingshan's mind. Chapter 39. At this moment, Gu Qingshan already has Riding Wind passive. Bombardment, 100-step shot, rapid fire, shifting flurry, primary. A total of 5 archery skills. Among them, 100-step shot is a very high-level accuracy skill. Riding Wind is a passive skill that's always in use, able to increase the speed of arrows. Rapid fire and bombardment are both very practical archery skills. As for shifting flurry, it's a unique growth skill that has the potential to become a demi-divine skill in the future. These are all skills that can only be found by luck. Even powerful general-class cultivators might not be able to grasp these high-level skills. After learning the skills from the Night Rain, the only shortcoming for Gu Qingshan right now is her cultivation. A bloodthirster fell down from the 5th peak, rolled back up. As soon as it saw the formation on this side, it immediately ran over. It was lucky that it wasn't heavily injured, so it still has about 70 to 80% of its fighting strength left. The following battle is what it's best at. Gu Qingshan raised the Night Rain and took a deep breath. Riding Wind. Bombardment. 100-step shot. The arrows poured out like a stream of light, bombarding the blood drinker demon's body before it could react. In a split second, the bloodthirster was knocked back a few dozen meters, crashing into a large tree and spitting out blood. Gu Qingshan was so shocked that she forgot to continue shooting. A bloodthirster is an existence comparable to a golden core early-stage cultivator. The power of a single arrow was able to skip 2 whole realms and knocked the bloodthirster away. Being able to reach such a level of archery, that's heaven-defying. Gu Qingshan forced herself to calm down, silently calculating the amount of spirit energy she used. This single arrow used 90% of her spirit energy. Not good, that's too much spirit energy. With Gu Qingshan's total spirit energy, she can only use this kind of attack once at most. After that, she'll be at the mercy of others. In reality, bombardment is an archery skill for Golden Core Realm cultivators. Rejuvenation Realm cultivators are able to use a bombardment as full power. Comprehending such a high-level archery technique ahead of time, his Qi training realm spirit energy wouldn't be able to support him for long. Even Gong Sun Ji looked at Gu Qingshan in surprise. This kid's archery skills are so monstrous? Interesting. Gong Sun Ji secretly raised his evaluation. The blood drinker demon was covered in blood. It roared and stood up, trying its best to rush forward and tear that annoying human to pieces. Arrows flew at it one after another, causing its body to stagnate, unable to move forward even for a while. This time, Gu Qingshan didn't use bombardment. His archery skills had already reached a high level. Even an ordinary shot had great power. Gu Qingshan was only at Qi training realm, so she couldn't possibly fight against the blood drinker demon. But the blood drinker demon was first wounded by the formation, then it was far away from Gu Qingshan, so it was crippled by a powerful archery skill. Right after that, the arrows poured down, stopping it from moving forward. The blood drinker demon's close combat ability is very terrifying, but it hasn't awakened the 5 elements, so it doesn't have any long-range attack. Separated by Gong Sun Ji's defensive formations, it can't rush forward in a hurry. Every single arrow pierced its body with a powerful force, but not a single one missed, quickly worsening its injuries, causing the blood drinker demon to feel fear. Not good, this human's archery skills are too powerful, I need to use all my strength to kill it. The blood drinker demon curled up into a ball. In the next second, a cold, evil aura came out from its body. Seeing this, Gu Qingshan's eyes twitched. Gong Sun Ji's expression also changed. Placing both hands on the formation plate, he quickly arranged a defensive formation. Gong Sun Ji loudly shouted, "Be careful, it's about to use Yin Flame Explosion." Yin Flame Explosion is a 5-elemental fire spell mixed with Huang Quan Yin Qi. It's very powerful, enough to blow a hole in a formation. Ever since the blood drinker demon was born, it has been accumulating Huang Quan Yin Qi inside its body, until one day when it needs to risk its life, it will give up its life in exchange for a chance to use an elemental spell. The Huang Quan Yin Qi will be completely detonated through the fire spell. Only when the blood drinker demon is about to die will it use this attack once. In the fight a few days ago, this attack gave Gong Sun Ji a lot of headache. Gu Qingshan quickly took out the Python Fong poison arrow and shot it with the night rain. Great shot. Shifting flurry. 5 arrows turned into gray shadows, quickly piercing through the sky, avoiding the blood drinker demon's arms in an unpredictable way and pierced through the back of its head. Poof! The arrows pierced through at the same time, making a single sound. Dark green blood flowed out from the blood drinker demon's ears. With a dull thud, the blood drinker demon fell to the ground, the Huang Quan Yin Qi around its body slowly dissipated. Killed high-leveled monster. Blood drinker demon, gained 30 soul points, current soul points. 30/7, with 30 soul points in hand, Guam Qingshan thought for a bit and found that there's nothing left for her to learn. Gong Sun Ji looked at Gu Qingshan in surprise and praised. Good archery, you've already learned so many ultimate archery skills at such a young age. When your cultivation is higher, you'll be able to become a general. Gu Qingshan raised the night rain and the Python Fong poison arrow in her hand, saying, "These things are good to use, and I'll have to rely on Senior's formation to protect me. The Python Fong poison arrow has a limit, but at this critical moment, Gu Qingshan couldn't care less about keeping it." Gong Sun Ji shook his head. "You deserve it. When I was your age, I was still holding a formation plate and studying beginner formations." Boom! High up in the clouds, a deafening roar of thunder reverberated in all directions. Gong Sun Ji and Gu Qingshan looked up, only to see Ning Yuechan quickly retreating in the sky, her golden armor glowing, the snow-white cloak on her back fluttering in the wind. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then asked, "General Gongsun, do you have any other way to contact the outside world?" Hearing his question, Gongsun Ji felt a bit ashamed. If I didn't hesitate just now, that communication talisman would have been sent out. Once the saints arrived, the three of them wouldn't have to worry about their lives anymore. But now that the faceless giant has arrived, and has the ability to absorb spirit energy, they probably won't be able to send out any messages. Gongsun hesitated a bit, then sighed. The only way is to go to Shinwu World. We've set up a warp formation there. Shinwu World? What's that? Gu Qingshan looked at him in shock, then realized. He broke out in a cold sweat. At this moment, I feel like I'm being led by Gongsun Ji into the depths of history, to witness an earth-shattering secret. Gongsun Ji said, "You might not know this, but it's a destroyed world," Gu Qingshan exclaimed. "Besides this world, is there another one?" In the past life, even when the apocalypse came, there were no other world. When the game first appeared in reality, it was called Worlds Apocalypse Online. At first, this name attracted a lot of attention and controversy. People only knew that the game was connected to the cultivation world, as well as reality. Just two worlds can be called the infinite worlds? Later on, after people got used to traveling between the two worlds, they still couldn't find the answer to this question. Not to mention the fact that the situation was getting worse and worse, with tens of thousands of people dying at the hands of the demons every day. Slowly, no one bothered to study this question anymore. Gongsun Ji answered, "That's right, behind the Demon King's royal court, there's a space vortex that leads to that destroyed world." Gu Qingshan asked, "Did you go in there?" Gongsun Ji answered, "Yes, in that world, we found a few dozen corpses of peerless combatants. We've determined that they were deities at the peak of martial arts." The peak of martial arts. That's the martial god. Martial gods are legendary existences, even in this cultivation world. They're extremely rare and powerful. Among the three saints, one of them is the martial god. Even Gu Qingshan, who's seen and experienced the horrors of the apocalypse, couldn't help but feel a bit lost at this moment. He muttered, "A few dozen martial god corpses, even with such power, the world was still destroyed." Gongsun Ji sighed. "That's right, I don't know why, but the Demon King has already locked onto us. He won't allow us to run into anyone else and reveal this secret." Chapter 40. The only way to survive right now is... Gongsun Ji tapped his inventory bag and took out a dull metal ball. "Before you're discovered by the Demon King, quickly go to that world and find the large-scale warp formation I set up, then place this token on it." Gu Qingshan hesitantly spoke. "General Gongsun, you're so strong, you can go yourself." His voice slowly became lower. Gongsun Ji took off his shirt, revealing a horrifying wound in front of Gu Qingshan. A dark green flame extended from his shoulder to his chest, all the way down to his lower back. This wound was so deep that even his heart was cut in half. The flame burned quietly. The dense and complicated runes surrounded the flame tightly, preventing it from doing any more damage. 9 Serenity Flames, a top-level demonic flame. Gu Qingshan glanced over but didn't say anything, only silently muttering in her mind. "This is the Drought Demon's flame. A small cluster is enough to turn 1,000 miles of river into barren land. It's a miracle that Gongsun Ji was still alive after getting hit by this attack." Gongsun Ji replied, "I used the 10 Supreme Sealing Formation to seal off my life force, so I won't die for now. But since the Demon King himself made this wound, he'll be able to sense me no matter where I am." Gu Qingshan asked, "How much longer can you hold on?" Gongsun Ji replied, "Half a day. After half a day, the 10 Supreme Sealing Formation will collapse and I'll die as well." Gu Qingshan looked straight into his eyes and asked, "With such a wound, who can save you?" Gongsun Ji smiled casually and replied, "I'm probably beyond saving, unless I return to humanity's highland and ask for an ascended realm medical expert to treat me. Gu Qingshan sighed, then looked at Ning Yuechan in the sky and gritted her teeth. Then I'll go. Gongsun Ji was overjoyed and put the steel ball in Gu Qingshan's hand, saying, We left some people in Shin Wu world, but the Demon King had already discovered them, so they should be mostly dead by now. You don't need to worry too much. He took out an array disc and solemnly placed it in Gu Qingshan's hand. Gu Qingshan took a look and saw that the formation plate was divided into a few pieces, and each piece was outlined with extremely complicated runes. Gongsun Ji picked up the array board and explained the functions of each one. Finally, he said, This is a general array board. There are many practical arrays on it, and they can be activated a fixed number of times. You have to use them well. And the location map. After explaining everything, Gongsun Ji took out a turtle shell and asked Gu Qingshan to stand on it. Don't pay attention to anything in the space-time turbulence, and don't do anything. If something happens, even the three saints won't be able to save you. I understand. Gu Qingshan nodded in agreement. Go. Gongsun Ji patted Gu Qingshan's shoulder. In the blink of an eye, Gu Qingshan disappeared. With a dull thud, Ning Yuechan was knocked down from the sky by the faceless giant, creating a deep crater on the ground. Humph! Ning Yuechan shouted and jumped out from the crater. Did you send him to Shin Wu world? She asked. Gongsun Ji answered. That's right, both you and I have been locked down by the Demon King's inner sight. He won't let us get close to that warp formation. You want him to escape? Gongsun Ji sighed and said, I've already told him the secret. If he survives, then help us spread the news. Ning Yuechan stood in the wind, her cold gaze softening. She wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and muttered, Then I have no regrets. She waved her hand, summoning the blade from the void of space again. If I can kill this monster, I can die without regrets. Saying so, Ning Yuechan took the blade and flew up again. Gu Qingshan felt herself turning into a cannonball, speeding through the endless void of space. The flow of time is unpredictable, a person's senses are stretched infinitely, sometimes it feels like days have passed, but only a blink of an eye has passed. The endless void of space around them slowly disappeared, replaced by a bottomless black abyss. This is the outermost layer of space. Once you break through it, you'll enter the space-time turbulence. Gu Qingshan's heart tightened. When he was reborn, he's already experienced this, so he knows how terrifying it is. Even someone like him who's been through so many battles, who's gone through so many dangers, can only pray for luck. It's best if I don't run into anything at all, Gu Qingshan silently thought. A few moments later, the entire world disappeared. Gu Qingshan broke through space and entered the space-time turbulence. A sudden surge of power flowed like a torrent, tightly wrapping around Gu Qingshan, passing through the layers of past and future at an unimaginable speed. Gu Qingshan's vision blurred as she was pushed into a scene by this surge of power. A bronze pillar pierced through heaven and earth, standing tall in the middle of a vast empty space. In the middle of the bronze pillar, a corpse was pinned down by 5 nails. The corpse's head was drooping, its entire body was covered in black armor, about 10 stories tall. Even so, compared to the bronze pillar, the corpse was still very small. Below the bronze pillar, countless black skeletons were moving back and forth, wanting to climb up. They piled up layer by layer, piling up higher and higher, almost reaching the tip of the corpse's foot. Gu Qingshan appeared from the void of space, flew past this eerie space, and continued forward. Help me! All of a sudden, a voice resounded in her mind. Gu Qingshan gritted her teeth and continued forward without looking back. I can't stop at this time. If I make even the slightest movement, it'll affect the strange power around me. This power is taking Gu Qingshan to Shin Wu world. If it's disturbed, the consequences will be unpredictable. There's a chance she'll enter an unknown world, or she'll be ripped to shreds, but the most likely outcome is that she'll be stuck in this world, unable to leave. If you help me, I will grant you eternal life. The voice continued to ring out, with a hint of majesty in it. Gu Qingshan ignored it. Her vision darkened as she entered another space-time layer and left this place. A while later, the corpse on top of the bronze pillar moved a bit, then breathed out. This breath was filled with incomparably scorching dark green flames, and in an instant, all the black skeletons on the ground were burned to ashes. Damn it, only a single living being every 200 million years, yet he managed to escape. The corpse struggled, but the nails that were pinning him down didn't budge at all. After a while, the corpse got tired of struggling and calmed down again. Below the bronze pillar, black skeletons popped their heads out one by one. Very quickly, hordes of skeletons once again filled this space. They looked up at the corpse on top of the bronze pillar and slowly moved forward. Gu Qingshan flew forward in the chaotic space-time. After an unknown amount of time, a hole suddenly appeared in front of her. As Gu Qingshan went in, she felt a cold breeze blowing past her. The power around her body also became thinner and thinner, slowly showing its shape in the air. This was a milky white sphere. Gu Qingshan was inside, like she was being wrapped in a giant soap bubble, floating around. Outside the sphere was a thick gray fog that covered the sky and earth. This gray fog was very strange. It was so thick that it almost turned black, but it was also transparent. Even through it, she could still see the scenery far away. Gu Qingshan looked up and looked ahead. An endless horde of demons filled her vision, all the way to the end of the world. Very far away, a faceless giant was deep in the sky above the clouds, fighting with another demon that emitted a frigid aura from its body. Chapter 41. While Gu Qingshan was observing his surroundings, a line of glowing text suddenly popped up. You've stayed in the other world for 24 hours, about to return to reality. Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. It's only been half a day since I entered the other world. Why did it say I've been here for 24 hours? He questioned it. The system quickly replied. Unexpected loss of time caused by the space-time vortex, unpredictable and uncontrollable. About to return. Hearing that, Gu Qingshan finally understood. In just a few dozen minutes in the space-time vortex, he had already used up the rest of his day. He took a deep look at the destroyed world. With a flash of light, Gu Qingshan disappeared from Shenwu World. The Federation capital. The Freedom Holiday Hotel. Gu Qingshan's figure slowly appeared on the rooftop of a skyscraper. It's only been an hour since he left the presidential office, and was arranged to stay at this famous hotel. Gu Qingshan stood on the rooftop of the hotel, silently looking at the lights of the Federation capital. The night wind was calm, the world was peaceful. Coming back from a destroyed world, the strong contrast made one feel nostalgic for this world. Unfortunately, this world will eventually be dragged into its destruction as well. After a while, Gu Qingshan put the night rain away, unloaded the quiver and sat down on the edge of the rooftop. A bottle of beer appeared in his hand. He just bought it tonight, but before he could drink it, he was transported back to the cultivation world. Gu Qingshan bit off the cap of the beer and gulped it down. The beer was cool and refreshing, the alcohol content was very low, not easy to get drunk, but also very relaxing. Gu Qingshan really needed to rest a bit. From the moment he designed the Blazing Angel, he hadn't rested for a very long time. Gongsun Ji, Ning Yuechan. In the past life, these two were hunted down by the demons without any regard for the cost. After killing them, the demons quickly covered up the secret they discovered. Now that they had a second chance, because of a small anomaly like Gu Qingshan, their fates had taken an unprecedented turn. However, for Gu Qingshan, this change was accompanied by the danger of losing her life at any time. Gu Qingshan had to be extremely careful with every step she took. The mission reward is the God of War's divine ability. Gu Qingshan murmured, her eyes gradually became firm. He held the bottle and finished the beer in one gulp. The break time was over. Gu Qingshan retracted his legs that were hanging outside the building, sat down cross-legged and silently circulated his spirit energy. It was now midnight, and it would take about 6 hours for his spiritual power to wash away the fatigue in his body. Gu Qingshan quickly got into the zone. No one would notice that on the top floor of the Freedom Holiday Hotel, there was a youth who was training hard in order to survive. After 6 hours, Gu Qingshan finally recovered. He opened his eyes and breathed out a mouthful of white air. The white qi flew for 6 to 7 feet before it slowly dissipated. Very good, my spirit is full, I can try breaking through now. Saying so, Gu Qingshan took out the booklet that recorded the military qi training method, as well as the war god UI, and quickly made a choice. To comprehend the 6th stage of the military qi training method. Spiritual Mound, 3 soul points will be spent. Would you like to comprehend it? Yes, comprehended. Current soul points. 27/7. A warm feeling flowed from the military qi training method booklet into Gu Qingshan's body, flowed through her limbs and finally into Gu Qingshan's thoughts. A sense of understanding appeared in Gu Qingshan's mind. Instinctively, he knew how to break through to the next realm. My total spirit energy is still a bit lacking. Gu Qingshan looked at his dantian and evaluated his spirit energy. Without enough spirit energy, breaking through can easily fail. To increase his total spirit energy, he can only rely on hard work and continuous cultivation. Gu Qingshan gritted his teeth. No, I can't wait any longer. The next time I enter another world, I'll directly appear in the lost Shen Wu world. If I don't quickly become stronger, I won't even know how I died. Gu Qingshan tapped his inventory bag, took out a large bag of snake blood, and gulped it down. The snake blood can strengthen his senses and inner sight, helping him to accurately control his spirit energy in a short amount of time. Gu Qingshan wiped the corner of his mouth, formed a hand seal, and stopped moving. His entire body was like a statue, falling into a deep meditative state. A few moments later, Gu Qingshan suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. I failed, so close, how regretful, Gu Qingshan muttered, quickly calmed himself down and tried again. A few moments later, he spat out another mouthful of blood. I don't believe it. One last time, Gu Qingshan gritted his teeth and drank another mouthful of snake blood. His body is already stretched to its limit, so he can only endure one more attempt in a short amount of time. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. He calmed down. He tried again. This time it took a lot longer. Gu Qingshan sat still in the darkness, all the way until the sky brightened. His clothes were covered in frost. Finally, he opened his eyes. A look of joy appeared in his eyes. Gu Qingshan lightly clasped his hands together and shouted, "Spirit Energy Shield!" A faintly discernible layer of light appeared and enveloped his entire body. This technique consumes a lot of spirit energy, but its defensive capabilities are extremely weak, very useless. In a real battle, cultivators don't even bother to use spirit energy shields, they'd rather wear armor or use defensive treasures. But this is a technique that only Qi Training Stage 6 cultivators can use. Gu Qingshan finally broke through. He stood up and stretched himself. His muscles and bones crackled and popped. After a night of cultivation, Gu Qingshan was very satisfied with his breakthrough. Once he reaches Qi Training Stage 7 and breaks through to Foundation Establishment Realm, he can try to awaken his thaumaturgy. Gu Qingshan returned to his room and rested for a bit. 9:12 a.m. Gu Qingshan woke up. He opened the blinds, allowing the sunlight to fill the room. Outside, there was a lot of people and carriages. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then understood. 19 days later, it's the Union's 300th anniversary celebration. Plus the recent period of time, it's also the time for the new batch of students to enter the university. Everyone in the city seems to be very busy. But this has nothing to do with me. What should I do now? I don't have anything to do in the morning, so I might as well find a place to practice my archery. At noon, I'll go to the presidential palace and have lunch with the president. As for tonight, I'll give my birthday present to Su Cher. Thinking of Su Cher's joyful expression, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but grin. He took out his phone and typed a message. "I'm at the capital." As soon as he sent it out, there was a response. Gu Qingshan picked up his phone, pressed the button, then heard Su Cher's surprised voice. "You damn brat, you're already on TV, and you're still standing with the president. You didn't even tell me in advance." "I didn't know in advance either. Will the president sponsor you to finish university?" "That's right, I'll be studying at the National Defense University, sponsored by the president." "That's great, I even secretly saved up credits, wanting to help." Su Cher noticed that she said something wrong, so she quickly stopped herself. Unfortunately, she already said what she wanted to say. Gu Qingshan only needed a bit to understand as the smile on his face widened. This is Su Cher, silently preparing for him, but taking into account his pride as a man, she didn't easily say it out loud. Chapter 42. I've already prepared your birthday present. Gu Qingshan changed the subject. "Ah. I want a present. When are you giving it to me? I want to see it as soon as possible." Su Cher was already regretting her words, but as soon as she heard that, she immediately cheered. "Do you have time tonight?" "I do. I'm only here to familiarize myself with the campus and meet with the teachers. I'm actually pretty free every day." "All right, I'll come find you tonight. Then I'll wait for you." As Su Cher said that, she felt her last sentence was a bit too impolite, blushed and quickly turned off the phone. Gu Qingshan silently smiled, and continued to play with the phone. "Impartial goddess? I'm here. I've already heard your conversation. Blazing Angel Form 1 test complete, Form 2 test in progress. Can you not eavesdrop on my privacy?" "Don't worry, Impartial Goddess will not interfere with anyone's right to love. That's not what I meant. I'm saying don't eavesdrop." Following Citizen Gu Qingshan's personal will, Su Cher has been listed as a secret contact, security monitoring removed. What were we talking about just now? Right, I want the Blazing Angel. The test isn't complete. Do you really want to give the Blazing Angel to Su Cher as a present? Don't worry, I've already tested all the forms. In the past life, Gu Qingshan added in her mind. Blazing Angel in preparation. Su Cher has been added to the Federation's list of key protected targets. In 3 hours, the Blazing Angel has been prepared. Very good, thank you. Gu Qingshan disconnected. For some reason, recently, Gu Qingshan didn't even need to ask for permission to contact Impartial Goddess. Maybe it's because he became someone close to the president, so the goddess paid special attention to him, Gu Qingshan silently thought. In the past life, he left the Federation a long time ago and went to the Fuxi Empire, so he didn't have much contact with Impartial Goddess, so he wasn't familiar with Impartial Goddess's system. He went to take a shower, changed into a clean set of clothes and left the room. He still had a free morning. He could use this time to hone his skills. Gu Qingshan inquired at the front desk of the hotel and soon learned that there was a sports club with an archery range. Archery was a noble sport. In this era, cold weapons had almost become an elegant sport. In other words, the cost would definitely not be cheap. Gu Qingshan suddenly remembered that she should check how many credits she had left. His Excellency the President sponsored his education, but he was not an insatiable person who wanted to ask for everything. Gu Qingshan picked up her holobrain and opened her personal interface. "Oh, I still have 19,200 credits. If I use them sparingly, it should be enough for a while." This was all the money he had saved from working in high school. He had originally planned to use it to pay for his first year of college. Gu Qingshan's gaze swept across the optical supercomputer screen and suddenly stopped at one spot. Personal merit points: 7, 998, 873, 957281, 439 points. Gu Qingshan paused, then subconsciously tapped her holobrain. On the optical computer, the number didn't change at all. I've used this holobrain for 7 to 8 years. Finally something went wrong today, he silently sighed. When he made the armor for Sue's share, he spent 2,000 merit points to ask Impartial Goddess for help, so he didn't have much left. So this astronomical number is most likely due to the holobrain having a problem. Or is it a reward from Impartial Goddess for his skills? Let's talk about it later. Gu Qingshan left the hotel with a heavy heart and boarded a sky shuttle bus. Half an hour later, Gu Qingshan squeezed out of the crowded sky shuttle bus, staggering a few steps before regaining her balance on the street. The capital really is different. There are so many people. Gu Qingshan wiped the sweat off her forehead, turned around and saw the sports club sign. Interstellar Club. As Gu Qingshan walked in, a few receptionists came up to greet her. Good morning, sir. Do you have a membership card? One of the receptionists politely asked. Nope, first time here, Gu Qingshan answered honestly. As the receptionists left, a manager-like woman came up. As soon as she glanced over, her attitude became cold. Today, Gu Qingshan was wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and a pair of black casual pants. Although he looked clean and tidy, the edges of his clothes were already worn out, so he looked very plain. To hide the night rain and his inventory bag, he also carried a long bow bag, the cheapest kind. The female manager greets people every day. Her eyes are sharp enough to tell that he's a poor student as soon as she sees him. The free trial area is on the right, basement 2. The female manager looked away, stopped smiling and casually said that. Can I ask where the archery gym is? Gu Qingshan asked. Archery gym? The female manager suddenly smiled. So he's another young man trying his best to climb up the social ladder. The sport of archery has always been favored by the aristocrats. A slightly better bow costs at least a few tens of thousands of credits. If you want a custom-made bow, you'll need to prepare at least 500,000 credits. Normal people don't have the money to buy a custom bow. Even if you want to rent a public bow from the archery gym, it's a standard of 3 months, which costs quite a bit. The archery gym has always been a place for the rich and aristocrats to spend their time. Sir, do you have your own bow? If you don't, we can buy one here, the female manager said without batting an eyelid. She believes that this single sentence will dispel his wishful thinking. I have a bow, I just need a place to practice my skills. Gu Qingshan nodded. The female manager squints her eyes. She once again evaluated the young man in front of her. That's right, he's wearing cheap clothes, even his running shoes are a bit old, a brand I've never even heard of before. He's quite attractive, but he's shamelessly lying, trying to sneak into the archery gym. Does he really want to climb up to aristocrats that much? The female manager silently sneered and pointed in a direction. The archery gym is behind the club. You'll need to go through 2 other gyms. How about I take you there? Then I'll have to trouble you, Gu Qingshan said. Please come this way. The female manager led Gu Qingshan to the back of the gym, then turned around and winked at them. The receptionists looked at each other and burst into laughter. When the 2 of them left the lobby, someone couldn't help but ask. Another one? He'll probably be kicked out soon. That's for sure. Poor people like him don't know that you need a certain identity to enter the archery gym, otherwise they won't even open the door. I really want to see him being blocked at the door, embarrassed that he can't even get in. Just wait, he'll soon be kicked out by the security guards. How about we all say welcome again together? Haha, good idea. The female manager led Gu Qingshan through the equipment area, the swimming pool, and finally to an automatic door. She quietly took 2 steps back, smiled and said, We're here, please come in, sir. Ah, sure. Gu Qingshan walked to the door. The door was still closed. Gu Qingshan pushed it, but it was locked. He turned around to look at the female manager. The female manager's expression was cold as she spoke. To enter the archery gym, you need to use your holobrain to verify your personal information and meet certain requirements before you can enter. Gu Qingshan was troubled. My hollow brain seems to have a problem. How about I just let it go for today?" The female manager silently laughed, then said, "How about we try, maybe it'll work?" She waved her hand. The security guards on the side quickly gathered around. Seeing that, Gu Qingshan misunderstood. Under normal circumstances, if you don't verify your personal information, then you're either a fugitive or a refugee. There's definitely something wrong with you. He shook his head, took out his hollow brain, and opened the wireless connection. Beep. Verification complete. Welcome, esteemed sir. Your presence is the honor of the entire Interstellar Club. An electronic voice was heard, carrying a sense of humility and respect. These were all preset voices. Different people with different identities would have different words of welcome. The archery gym's door opened, parting to both sides. "Esteemed sir." The female manager silently muttered, a bit stunned. Others might not know, but she knows what this title means. Only leading figures or the 9 major prefectures' mansion masters would be addressed as Honorable Sir. The security guards are all smart. Seeing that, they all bowed and silently retreated. Inside the archery range, 2 staff members jogged over and bowed 90 degrees. "Welcome, please follow me," Gu Qingshan answered. "Very well, as expected of the capital's sports club, their service is unbelievably good." He silently praised them in his mind. As Gu Qingshan entered the archery gym, she suddenly turned around and politely said, "Thank you for leading the way. You're welcome." The female manager stood outside, stuttering. Gu Qingshan smiled and followed the 2 attentive staff members. The automatic door slowly closed. Chapter 43. Gu Qingshan looked around, observing the layout of the archery range. 20 arrows were lined up in a straight line. A few people were standing in front of the arrows, practicing how to shoot. Some of them even had a coach standing next to them, slowly correcting their posture and giving them guidance. Noticing his gaze, the staff member asked, "Do you need archery training? Our coaches here are the best of the best." "Ah, no need. Will you be using your own bow or ours?" "I'll be using my own bow." Saying so, Gu Qingshan put her hand into the bow bag on her back and took out the night rain. "I'll give it a try. Go ahead." Not using any spirit energy at all, Gu Qingshan randomly took out an arrow and shot. Boom! The target 50 meters away was blown to pieces. Even the wall behind the target had a small hole. The entire archery range went silent. What happened? Bombed? No, it seems there's something wrong with the target. Everyone who didn't know what happened looked over and whispered to each other. They're all nobles, so even if something happened, they didn't panic. The 2 staff members next to Gu Qingshan were already stunned. "Ahaha, sorry about that. I'll still use your bow," Gu Qingshan quickly said. "This is an esteemed sir, so it's natural for him to be different from normal people." One of the staff members managed to convince himself and said, "Very well, would you like to share an arrow path with someone else, or would you like to apply for a personal arrow path?" "A personal arrow path," Gu Qingshan thought for a bit and answered. The staff member said, "The first time you rent a public bow, it's only 800 credits, a personal arrow path costs 1,000 credits per hour." Very well. After the 2 staff members left with a strange expression, Gu Qingshan finally sighed in relief. The night rain is too powerful. As long as you use spirit energy, it will automatically turn invisible, as well as erase all traces of the user. Regarding this, Gu Qingshan had already considered it. To avoid drawing attention, Gu Qingshan didn't use any spirit energy at all, only 30% of her strength. In the end, the target, which had a high tolerance, exploded. Putting away the night rain, Gu Qingshan picked the farthest path and waited for the staff to arrange it. After a while, the staff returned with 3 bows. "Please give it a try." Gu Qingshan held the bow in his hand, waited a bit, then chose the heaviest one. "I'll use this one," he said. "Okay. Have a good time." The staff retreated politely. "Very good, we can start training now. The only thing to pay attention to is the strength." Gu Qingshan took out a training arrow, used 10% of her strength, and lightly pulled the bowstring. It's over. As soon as the arrow flew out, Gu Qingshan regretted it. For this arrow, he had accidentally used Luan Wu's arrow Dao guiding method. However, there was no turning back. The arrow twisted and flew out, drawing a strange arc in the air before firmly nailing itself onto the target. A shriek rang out. "Look! That person's arrow can turn!" A female spectator shouted. "How is that possible? It's fake, you must have seen it wrong." A lot of people doubted it. Just now, everyone was focused on their practice, so no one else really noticed that. Gu Qingshan wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. "I was too careless, how did I accidentally use a skill?" He pretended not to hear it, seriously took out another arrow, and pulled the bowstring again. This time, the people on the other paths all stopped their movements and looked over. Gu Qingshan let go, letting the arrow fly out. This was a very normal arrow, but the spectators were disappointed. Gu Qingshan sighed in relief and continued to shoot. For the next half an hour, he emptied 2 quivers without anything else happening. It was now that everyone looked away. The female student muttered in a low voice, "Could it be my eyes are playing tricks on me?" After a while, seeing that Gu Qingshan was still maintaining the same posture, doing standard and normal shooting, even she lost interest, cursed and no longer paid attention to Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan silently sighed in relief, silently glad that he was lucky. Putting down the training bow, Gu Qingshan hesitated a bit, but still took out the night rain. The public training bow is too mediocre, so Gu Qingshan wasn't interested in practicing it. It's better to use the night rain. This way, not only can he practice his skills, but he can also increase his familiarity with the night rain. The most important thing to note is that he can't use spirit energy, and he also has to control his strength well. The former will cause a phenomenon, the latter won't be able to handle it, both will attract unnecessary attention. Gu Qingshan held the night rain, stood in the middle of the path, used a bit of his strength and shot. This practice lasted for an entire hour. Gu Qingshan was practicing to his heart's content, his entire body was covered in sweat, and he's gotten a bit more familiar with the night rain. Although he didn't use any skills, his understanding of archery is solid, and he was able to confirm it through this specialized practice. He was completely immersed in his practice, not knowing that someone was staring at him, then slowly focused on the night rain. "Hello," a voice came from the side. Gu Qingshan looked over, only to see a young man standing next to the path, seriously observing him. "What is it?" Gu Qingshan put down the bow and asked. "Excuse me, are you selling your bow or not?" "I'm sorry, I'm not selling," Gu Qingshan answered. The man's eyes fell on the night rain, shouting, "Just name your price." "Our young master Hui said money isn't a problem. I'm not selling it," Gu Qingshan repeated. The man shook his head, turned around and walked towards another path. He walked into a group of young men, repeating Gu Qingshan's words to the leader in a low voice. When the leader heard this, he smiled and said something. A few moments later, the group of people all arrived next to Gu Qingshan's path. Gu Qingshan acted like he didn't notice them at all, just kept on shooting, one arrow after another. "Your bow is quite nice." The leader stared at the night rain with a flash of appreciation in his eyes. "It is," Gu Qingshan answered. "I want to buy your bow," the man continued. "Not for sale," Gu Qingshan answered. "Don't be like that, sell me the bow, we'll be friends." "Not for sale." The man thought for a bit, then said, "How about we make a bet? I'll give you 100,000 credits. Archery itself is a sport that's very suitable for gambling and guessing. Not just aristocrats, but even rich civilians like to gamble on it for fun." Gu Qingshan is currently in need of money, so she stopped for a bit and said, "That's fine, but I have a condition. How dare you talk terms with young Master Hui?" The young man from before shouted. "Don't argue, let him finish his condition." Hui Xiao raised his hand to stop the man, lightly cracking his neck. Whenever a fish is about to take the bait, he would unconsciously crack his neck to hide his emotions. As long as the other party agrees to this bet, he's confident that he'll win. It's just a few tricks, but some are pretty, some are dirty. This time, he's prepared at least 5 to 6 of them. He has a secret God's chosen skill that allows him to see strange phenomena. On this bough, he saw a woman dressed in ancient clothing, bending the bow and shooting an arrow. The woman was beautiful to the extreme. The woman seems to have a very close relationship with this bow. Not to mention, he himself is an expert in using bows, so he can tell how powerful this bow is. This unique and powerful bow, he has to get his hands on it. Chapter 44. Hui Xiao stared at Gu Qingshan, saying, "We haven't even started yet and you're already taking my chips?" Gu Qingshan shrugged. "Look, there's so many of you here. If you lose and don't pay up, I won't be able to do anything. If I lose," Gu Qingshan pointed at his chest, "I won't be able to leave in front of all of you." Hui Xiao was silent. "You care so much about money, you still want to compete?" Gu Qingshan shook his head and was about to leave. "Wait!" Hui Xiao reached out his hand to stop him, feeling a bit angry. He didn't want to take out a single cent. He didn't expect the other party to be so smart, using words to stop him. A person needs face, not to mention an aristocrat like Hui Xiao. Since he's already said it, if he wants to keep playing, he'll have to take out his money first. Damn it, I can't let this brat go. Hui Xiao silently cursed in his heart. His face became dark, saying, "No problem, but I have a condition." "What condition?" Hui Xiao said word by word. "If you lose, I want one of your hands," he added. "If you don't dare leave your bow and crawl under my crotch," Gu Qingshan calmly answered. "I want more money." Hui Xiao took out a card and gave it to her. "It's not a registered card. Transfer 200,000. He stared at Gu Qingshan. 100,000 to bet on the bow, 100,000 to buy the hand. You can try. But the result is hard to say." Gu Qingshan took the card, swiped it on his hollow brain, and transferred 200,000 credits. Gu Qingshan gave the card to him, feeling a bit better. In high school, he's always been frugal. Now that he has 200,000 credits, it'll be enough for him to use for a long time. Hui Xiao spoke. 1 minute of free shooting, we'll compare the total score, whoever has more wins. Saying so, he clapped his hands. A middle-aged man wearing a club uniform squeezed through the crowd. "Hui Xiao, leave it to me," the middle-aged man said. A busybody on the side exclaimed, "3 consecutive world archery competition winner, Wu Sheng, my God, that young man is miserable. Yeah, he bet one hand with young Master Hui. He's in trouble now. Sigh, what a pity for such a good young man." Contrary to the spectators, the group of people behind Hui Xiao were all laughing, some were even high-fiving each other in celebration. "Haha, this kid was so arrogant just now. I can't stand it anymore. He'll probably piss his pants when he's dragged out and chopped off his hand. That's more exciting. I'm waiting to see his expression, haha." After a while, Gu Qingshan and Wu Sheng each stood on an arrow path. "Begin," a coach shouted. Wu Sheng skillfully pulled out an arrow, calmed himself down, drew the bow, took aim, and loosened his grip. Shwa! The arrow was firmly fixed on the bullseye in the middle of the target. There was a burst of cheers. 10 points. As expected of the 3-time shooting champion. Well done. Look at this posture, this accuracy. Hui Xiao's face also revealed a smile. They turned their heads to the other side. Gu Qingshan had already shot 3 arrows, all of them neatly lined up at the edge of the target. The nouveau riches all laughed. 1 point. He only got 1 point. No, it's 3 1 points. Haha, this kid can't keep his hand anymore. Gu Qingshan wasn't affected at all, pulling out another arrow. On the other side, Wu Sheng aimed for a long time before finally shooting his second arrow. It hit the bullseye. 10 points. Everyone continued to cheer. Wu Sheng turned around with a smug expression, waving the bow in his hand. He looked to the other side, only to see that the kid's hands didn't stop. There were already 7 arrows on the target. But they were all 1 point. Wu Xing shook his head, laughing mockingly. What's the point of shooting fast? 7 arrows can't even compare to one of my arrows. He pulled out another arrow, drew the bow, and continued to aim. The match continued. 15 seconds passed. Slowly, the cheers died down, the whispers became louder and louder, gradually gaining the upper hand. Wu Xing shot another arrow, this time affected by the discussion around him. His mood fluctuated a bit, only hitting 8 points. He couldn't help but turn his head to see what was happening on the other side. The next moment, the bow in Wu Xing's hand fell to the ground. His whole body stood there, stunned. On the opposite target, the arrows were neatly inserted along the outermost circle of the target like a line that continuously moved forward, followed by the second circle, slightly closer to the inside of the target. It was another neat and orderly circle, then the third circle, closer to the bullseye. Gu Qingshan shot for 15 seconds to his heart's content. In just 15 seconds, he had already shot all 5 quivers of arrows on the side of the target. It's over, Gu Qingshan said. In front of him, all the arrows on the target were neatly lined up, covering the entire target to the point where not a single gap could be seen. Even the bullseye in the middle was filled with arrows. There was not a single gap left. On the other hand, Wu Xing's target only had 5 arrows stuck in it. No matter how hard Wu Xing tried, he wouldn't be able to do what Gu Qingshan did in less than a minute. Gu Qingshan put his bow away, turned around and left. As he walked past Hui Xiao, Gu Qingshan stopped for a bit, then said, "Thank you for your credits." Hui Xiao put his hand on Gu Qingshan's shoulder, shouting in a low voice, "It's not over yet, ah? What else do you want?" Gu Qingshan swatted his hand away from her shoulder. "Leave the bow, you go," Hui Xiao said. "That doesn't seem to be the same as our bet. If you want to live, leave the bow. You can see the value of this bow." "Too bad you lost. I won't give it to you." "Very well," Hui Xiao nodded. His eyes became ruthless. "In the capital, no one has ever dared to reject me again and again. One of you better tell him to cherish his life," a young man shouted. "Hui Xiao, if he doesn't know what's good for him, then we'll let him know the cruelty of this world," another person said. "I just checked the archery dojo's information. This guy's surname is Gu. He's not a member of the 9 Lords. There won't be any problems, no matter what we do to him." Hui Xiao turned around and ordered, "Go, find the manager of the archery dojo." Very quickly, the manager of the archery dojo came with a few other staff members. From afar, the manager smiled and asked, "Hui Xiao, what do you need?" Hui Xiao pointed at Gu Qingshan with his chin and said, "I lost my bow, then found out it was in this guy's hands." "That's right, this brat is a thief. Call the police, arrest him and send him to jail. But we still need to return Hui Xiao's bow first," a group of people shouted. The manager looked at Gu Qingshan and spoke without hesitation. "Sir, please return the bow to Hui Xiao." Gu Qingshan turned around and spoke very seriously. "I was the one who brought the bow. You can look at the security footage yourself. I never once approached them." The manager looked at Hui Xiao with a troubled expression. Hui Xiao asked, "Isn't your security footage broken?" Chapter 45. He took out his phone and really did call the police. A few moments later, a few policemen came into the archery range. They greeted young Master Hui first, then walked up. "You're suspected of theft. Please come with us," one of the policemen said. Gu Qingshan looked at the policeman and asked, "Are you really policemen? Where's the evidence?" His cold eyes glanced over them. They didn't know why, but they all felt a chill and couldn't help but shut their mouths. "This brat is a bit strange," they all thought at the same time. One of the policemen couldn't help but take out his gun. "You want my bow that badly?" Gu Qingshan looked at Hui Xiao and asked. Hui Xiao smirked, his face full of mockery. "You thief, that's my bow." One of the policemen came up and said, "According to the procedure, you're now a suspect. I'll need to verify your personal information before you can go to a lawyer. Gu Qingshan looked at him, took out her hollow brain and gave it to him. The policeman was scared by his stare, feeling like a prehistoric beast opening its eyes to stare at him. He trembled as he took out the scanner from his waist and scanned it through the hollow brain. Beep. Personal information being recorded, no authorization, access denied. The police's hollow brain sent out a series of notifications. The relaxed expressions on the faces of the other policemen also disappeared. Captain Zhang, seems like this brat has some sort of background. You'll have to scan him yourself, one of the policemen said. I'll do it. The captain came forward, took Gu Qingshan's hollow brain and scanned it with the scanner. Beep. Personal information being recorded, no authorization, access denied. The policemen looked at each other, and their hearts slowly sank. They thought it was just bullying, but now it looks more like a fight between gods. If they don't handle this well, they'll be crushed to death. Without knowing it, their expressions were now filled with respect. One of the policemen gave Gu Qingshan a stiff smile and said, "Please wait a moment." Following that, the policeman looked towards the crowd as if asking for help. A young man walked out from behind young Master Hui and said lazily, "You guys can't even handle such a small matter properly. I have to do it myself." He was the son of the capital garrison police chief. He had entered the police system a long time ago and was now a deputy chief. These policemen were his men. He took out a pocket-sized scanner and scanned Gu Qingshan's personal holobrain. The scanner began to operate, and lines of data flashed on the screen. How is it? Looks like I still have to step in, the young man said proudly. Suddenly, a voice came from the scanner. This electronic voice was full of warning. Frequent requests within a short period of time. Protection level increased. Unauthorized access denied. Everyone was stunned, and the way they looked at Gu Qingshan became strange. Just what was this person's background? Why couldn't they even inquire about him? I remember. He seemed to be there when the president spoke yesterday. A policeman whispered. Yes, he is the president's adopted son. The president is sponsoring his university. The thing people are most afraid of is not knowing someone else's background. Now that everyone knows who Gu Qingshan is, they felt a bit safer. So that's why, it's not because he himself is mysterious, but because he has the president behind him. The president is a kind and friendly person, no matter if it's the external military policy or the internal construction of order. He's always taken a gradual and gentle approach, so he's very popular among the voters. Even these spoiled brats from the 9 lords in front of them know that this is going to be a bit troublesome. Hui Xiao suddenly laughed and ordered, "Men, catch this brat for me." A few unassuming people came out from a corner, their eyes locked onto Gu Qingshan. "Hui Xiao, that's not good." The young man's expression was no longer relaxed as he tried to dissuade him. "I know what I'm doing," Hui Xiao answered. The president's adopted son had a conflict with the 9 lords' disciples in the club. Both sides fought. This isn't a big deal. Let's beat him up to vent our anger first. After our president's term is over, I'll come and get him for it. After Hui Xiao said that, the young men around him exchanged glances, then returned to their usual jovial manner. When young people get together, fighting is a very normal thing. This kind of shameful thing is something the president can't handle. "Beat him up," Hui Xiao ordered. "I want to step on his face and show him who's the real master of this world." Yes, as they came up, their presence attracted Gu Qingshan's attention. "How interesting! Since when did supernaturals become the servants of the rich?" Gu Qingshan smiled. When those people heard this, their expressions immediately changed. "Brat, you deserve to die." Saying so, a black light appeared in his hand as he walked forward. "Dark spirit energy? What a waste to use it on you." Saying so, Gu Qingshan raised his bow and started to shoot. His movements were as fast as a shadow, with a few bang 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 sounds. The arrows disappeared one by one. A series of shrill screams came one after another. Before anyone knew what happened, Hui Xiao's subordinates were sent flying. As they turned to look, they all gasped. 5 supernaturals were pinned to the wall behind them, their feet hanging in the air. The arrows pierced deep into their shoulders, straight through and into the snow-white wall. Bright red blood flowed down from the wall. One of the supernaturals raised his left hand, unwilling to give up. With a whoosh, flames rose from his hand. When the supernaturals were about to act, a voice came from the other side. "You want to see if you're faster, or if I'm faster?" Gu Qingshan lightly said. The bow in his hand was still raised, but the aura around him suddenly changed. Cold killing intent exuded from his body, locking onto the 5 elemental supernaturals on the other side of the wall. Normal people don't even know how to use dark spirit energy, so they don't need to worry about it. But fire spirit energy is different. Fire elemental is very powerful. If the other side dares to attack, Gu Qingshan will definitely take his life without hesitation. That person is also a veteran, feeling the intense killing intent, and seeing the other side's cold eyes. He knew that he's kicked a steel plate this time. His fire elemental was awakened late, so he's only just reached the second stage, Raging Flame. Although it's powerful, he can't use it as he pleases and needs time to accumulate spirit energy. The other side's arrows are too fast for him to react, too fast for him to retaliate. If the other side wasn't aiming for his shoulder, but any other vital point, he sighed deeply and helplessly lowered his hand. The audience was silent. Gu Qingshan walked up to Hui Xiao. "You're from the 9 Lords?" he asked. Bam! With a slap, Hui Xiao was sent flying. "You dare hit me! I'm the 2nd young master of Huang family, you're dead." Hui Xiao's face was covered in blood, screaming like a devil. "Dead? You're nothing but an ant waiting to die. Do you think you're qualified to talk to me like that?" Gu Qingshan shook her head and said coldly. Chapter 46. This is Huang family's 2nd young master. As one of the 9 Lords and deeply rooted in the capital, they're a giant that everyone has to respect. The group of young masters was about to go crazy. Many of them took out their communicators to call their family members, some even pointed at Gu Qingshan and cursed. "Lowlife, you dare hit Hui Xiao, no one can save you, just wait for your death." Gu Qingshan slowly replied. Huang family's 2nd young master had a conflict with someone in the archery club, both sides fought, it's not a big deal, that's what Hui Xiao said just now. Not even 10 minutes later, Gu Qingshan threw it back at him. The policeman looked at the bow in Gu Qingshan's hand, then at the supernatural on the wall, but decided not to act rashly. They silently retreated and took out their communicators to call for reinforcements. Go find him. I'll pay any price. I want him dead." Hui Xiao laid on the ground, shouting. "Seems like I'll need to wait a bit." Gu Qingshan walked to the archery path, knocked an arrow and continued her archery practice. This kind of useless young master, if he doesn't make them scared, they won't give up, they'll definitely find a chance to bite him. Today, I'll let them know fear, only then will this matter be over. At this time, the archery hall's door suddenly opened. A pleasant female voice could be heard. Why are there so many people standing still in the archery hall? What's the meaning of this?" Following that, a beautiful girl with long red hair walked in from outside the archery hall. Behind the girl were 2 rows of specially assigned bodyguards in suits with Federation badges on their chests. An old man stood next to the girl, speaking elegantly. "From what I see, they definitely didn't expect to see you here, so they're too surprised to say anything." The old man smiled at everyone, only to see Huang family's 2nd young master's face was covered in blood, lying on the ground, struggling to get up. The old man opened his mouth wide in surprise, then gestured behind him. A few bodyguards quickly came up and helped Hui Xiao up. One of them put his hand on Hui Xiao's face. The bleeding immediately stopped, and the swollen face quickly returned to normal. Hui Xiao regained his vitality, looking at the beautiful girl in front of him. He threw his anger to the back of his mind. he asked in a low voice. Elder Kong, this is? The old man winked at him, then turned to the red-haired beauty. Your Royal Highness, allow me to introduce you, this is one of the 9 lords, Huang family. Wow, who shot this? Anna ignored him and exclaimed as she walked to the end of the arrow path. She looked at the wall with great interest. There were 5 people hanging on the wall, moaning from time to time. Only then did the old man see that there were still a few people hanging on the wall at the end of the arrow path. His expression immediately changed. What was going on? An important envoy from a foreign country was in the capital of the Federation, and he actually ran into a brawl in public? Why are there still a few policemen here? Since when could the police in the capital not handle this kind of thing? This was a major diplomatic incident. The old man was so furious that he opened his mouth and was about to lash out. It's really a good skill. I really want to learn it. May I ask who did it? Anna turned around and asked excitedly. The old man's words got stuck in his throat. Everyone around was speechless as they saw this. Anyone could tell that there was a fight going on here just now, and it was about to escalate to a life-and-death situation. But Her Royal Highness thinks it's very interesting to see people hanging on the wall. Rumor has it that Her Royal Highness of the Empire does things according to her own whims, and has done a lot of things that people don't know whether to laugh or cry. Now that I've seen it with my own eyes, it's true. That young man, I don't know if he's a blessing or a curse. If he beat up Huishao, at least he'll be fine on the spot. But if he pisses off the royal princess of the Holy Empire, Her Royal Highness Anna Medici, the countless eyes fell on Gu Qingshan. Seeing Anna pretending to look around, Gu Qingshan's mouth twitched a bit. Gu Qingshan doesn't know why she's here, or what kind of trick she's playing. He's not afraid of her, he's just a bit unsure. Sure enough, Anna walked step by step, stood in front of Gu Qingshan and spoke with a look of admiration. You were the one who shot them into the wall? Hearing this, the onlookers wiped the sweat off their foreheads. That's right, Gu Qingshan reluctantly answered. Anna's expression changed, curtsied and spoke seriously. I've been neglecting this noble sport for too long. Your archery skills are excellent. Please teach me how to shoot, for the sake of the friendship between our 2 countries. This is the most standard aristocratic etiquette, from language to etiquette. Gu Qingshan wanted to turn around and leave a few times, but managed to hold himself back. Anna's actions caught him off guard. Gu Qingshan doesn't want to be exposed too much. He only wants to spend the last few years of his university life in peace before the apocalypse. But the Empire's jewel is already standing in front of him. All the people here are either rich or noble, plus there are so many secret bodyguards and intelligence agents from the Federation government watching over them. This moment will definitely be known to everyone. Taking a step back, in front of so many people, if he doesn't give face to the Empire's princess, both he and the president will be in a very bad situation. Forget it, who told her to be Anna? Gu Qingshan sighed and returned the courtesy. Your request is my honor, yea. Anna mischievously blinked her eyes, waved her hand in the air. Clear the field. The Federation bodyguards scattered, politely persuading the crowd to leave the field. If you look closely, you'll find that even these well-trained bodyguards are also feeling helpless. Wherever the Empire's princess goes, she has to clear the field, even when she goes to the toilet, making people numb and speechless. But no one dares to complain. Saint Orlank Empire's ruler is an unstoppable character. Even the princess herself is a supernaturalist who strikes fear in the hearts of others. It's said that her elemental fire has reached the 4th stage, scorching sun. Elemental fire, at first it was flame, after advancing, it became raging flame. From the 3rd stage, magma, onwards, each stage brings a terrifying change in strength. The 4th stage, scorching sun, has already left 90% of the world's professionists behind. Even without her status as a princess, with Anna's true strength, she can still enjoy the highest honor and glory. Such a woman with such a high status in the secular world, as well as the strength of a supernaturalist. Whoever can truly gain her recognition will receive a lot of benefit. Hui Xiao's eyes rolled a bit, brought a few people forward and smiled. Your Royal Highness, I'm honored to be of service to you. Anna pointed at the wall. A few bodyguards were trying to get someone off the wall. She asked, Do you know how to do this? I don't, but I'm the second young master of the Huang family. I know the capital very well, I guarantee. Anna opened her beautiful eyes wide and asked innocently, If you don't know how to do this, then why are you still here? Hui Xiao froze. I don't deal with idiots, Anna said. Men, clear the field. These words were like a heavy hammer, crushing Hui Xiao's pride. Hui Xiao was politely led away. Before he left, he stared at Gu Qingshan without blinking. Gu Qingshan didn't mind at all. The hatred of a playboy can be cut off at any time. Gu Qingshan walked next to Anna and asked in a low voice, What are you doing? You're making me very passive. Anna noticed his frustration and spoke with a bit of a wrong tone. I miss the Scorpio Palace. That single sentence made all of Gu Qingshan's emotions disappear. Next time you should at least tell me before you show up. He shook his head and said. Now that the matter was over, the wronged expression on Anna's face disappeared, smiling like a flower as she walked to one side and picked up a bough from the rack. She said, Teach me archery first, I have something I want to ask you later. As Gu Qingshan was about to say something, a streak of light appeared in her vision and turned into a blood-red line of text in her retina. The flow of time continues to be chaotic. The time to enter is up. The user must enter the other world within 5 minutes, otherwise the space-time distortion will become permanent. Warning, if the user gives up on entering, they will lose the ability to enter the other world. Gu Qingshan froze like she was struck by lightning. How could this be? This isn't the first time he's experienced a place like the space-time vortex, and it's always been fine, so why is this happening? Could it be because I entered that strange space? There are many strange scenes in the space-time vortex, some of which can indeed affect the player, but to be able to completely disrupt the flow of time, Gu Qingshan has never heard of it. Could it be that strange space is more special than all the strange spaces recorded in history? I didn't even pay attention to the giant corpse nailed to the bronze pillar. Without any time to think, Gu Qingshan pulled Anna to a corner and whispered, I need you to do me a favor. Anna looked at him and asked curiously, Tell me about it. Gu Qingshan didn't know how to say it. The situation is urgent. He only has 5 minutes. He must get out of everyone's sight as soon as possible. But the entire club is surrounded by security personnel, only to protect Princess Anna. If he wants to escape by himself, if he doesn't take care of Anna, 5 minutes is definitely not enough, and all the security personnel will stop him. But once the time is up, Gu Qingshan has no choice but to go back in time. If the security personnel of the country were to see the scene of him going back in time, it would definitely cause an uproar. Gu Qingshan isn't afraid of anything, but this is a very troublesome matter. All of his future plans will be affected. Seeing him not saying anything, Anna sneakily glanced at him. His eyes are a beautiful amber color, his eyelashes are very long, every time he pulls his bow, his eyes would slightly squint, focused and full of spirit. When he's mixing drinks, his eyes would be a bit misty, as if he's in another world. He's wearing a white shirt, casual pants, sneakers, extremely plain. But it's this plain outfit that he killed a few dozen martial artists as well as 2 mechs in a single breath as he walked out of the bar. Some people need to wear luxurious clothes to be able to pretend to be a dragon or a phoenix, but he doesn't. He's a king. He doesn't show mercy when he kills, but he knows his limits when he's on TV, lowering his head without saying a word. Feng Huda said he's a bit hard to guess, but it's not that hard. He's just a bit shy and nervous in front of the camera. At this moment, he's standing in front of me, looking like he's too embarrassed to say anything. It's quite amusing. Anna's mood is bright, the corner of her mouth slightly curled up. Chapter 47. No, I need to leave right away, but I can't let anyone find out. Gu Qingshan was straightforward. Anna crossed her arms and looked at her with a serious expression. It doesn't seem like she was lying. Is it urgent? Anna slowly stopped teasing her and asked with a serious expression. It's very urgent, Gu Qingshan answered. Then come with me. Anna thought for a second and said without hesitation. This young man gives her a very strange feeling, an indescribable fondness. The first time they met, he mixed a few particularly satisfying drinks. In the following battles, he showed his S-rank potential. He's also related to the secret of the Federation, the truth behind the large-scale military movements of the Federation. For both public and private reasons, Anna is willing to help him just this once. They were talking in a low voice, but didn't know that the security personnel watching them were shocked. Just yesterday, Princess Anna poured an entire glass of alcohol on the face of the senator's son, just because he wanted to hold her hand and kiss it. But today, the princess let a man hold her hand. The two of them were standing close together, whispering to each other. Looking at the princess, she didn't seem unhappy at all, only curious. While everyone was guessing, the princess walked up to the large glass window, looking down to operate her hollow brain. A few moments later, the sound of a machine could be heard from afar. In a very short amount of time, the sound became louder and louder. A few seconds later, a fiery red flying shuttle painted with raging flames stopped in midair, making a rumbling sound. The shuttle slightly adjusted its angle and opened the door to the princess. Prepare to board. Princess Anna turned around and said. Gu Qingshan looked at the shuttle and nodded. This is the Blazing Fire Rapid Shuttle, the fastest shuttle in the world, limited to 5. As the personal vehicle of the Princess of the Empire, she always brings it with her wherever she goes. Anna put his hand on the large glass window. The glass quickly melted and fell down like water droplet. Let's go. Anna turned around. All right. Gu Qingshan looked at the time. There's still 2 minutes, there's still time. He and Anna jumped into the shuttle together. Princess, where are you going? The old man panicked and asked repeatedly. The security personnel were also dumbfounded. He had never met such a willful target of protection. She didn't care about diplomatic etiquette at all and left just like that. Where am I going? Oh, I'm going to practice archery with my archery coach. I'll be back when the banquet starts. By the way, please get my father to pay for this glass. Thank you. After saying that, Anna closed the cabin door. The blazing fire was suddenly activated. With a roar, it turned into a gradually shrinking black dot and disappeared into the sky. The old man turned around and shouted at the crowd, "What are you all waiting for? Hurry up and track the princess. If anything happens to her, it will be the start of a war between the two countries." As if awakened from a dream, the security personnel hurriedly got to work. On the flying shuttle, Gu Qingshan looked at the time on her retina. There was still 1.5 minutes left. He looked at Anna, only to see that she was focused on piloting the shuttle to avoid the busy sky above the capital. In the cockpit there was a row of wine. Below the wine rack there was a long box with quite a few cold weapons inside. Scimitars, sharp blades, meteor hammers, daggers, short spears, axes, whips, pitchforks, everything you could think of was there. Furthermore, they all seemed to be of high quality, not just for show. Gu Qingshan's hand couldn't help but twitch a bit. You collect cold weapons? Yeah, just a little hobby. Why aren't there any swords? Swords, those things are too delicate, not aggressive enough. Gu Qingshan was speechless. These women, why do they look down on swords? Gu Qingshan was a bit angry. Ever since he stabbed the final demon lord's heart with his sword, he hasn't touched a sword since. Of course, there are cold weapons on the market, but they can be easily swung around. If you try to chop them, they'll probably break. Right now, Gu Qingshan wanted a sword even in his dreams. A real sword. 40 seconds later. The blazing fire stopped on top of a cliff on the outskirts of the capital. Gu Qingshan spoke in a low voice. "Thank you so much this time. There's no point in saying thank you. I want to drink Scorpio Temple." Saying so, Anna couldn't help but lick her lip. She doesn't know how mesmerizing her looks are. Gu Qingshan laughed and shook her head, saying, "No problem, if I make it back, I'll definitely treat you." What do you mean? Anna sharply noticed the ominous tone in her words. Her eyes moved away from the screen and looked at Gu Qingshan. "If I make it back, I'll tell you a secret and treat you to a drink," Gu Qingshan said. 20 seconds left. Gu Qingshan prepared himself. He doesn't mind letting Anna know this secret. From the very first time they met, he had already made up his mind to make sure that the terrible fate that befell Anna in the past life disappear in this one. 10 seconds countdown. "I'm leaving," Gu Qingshan said. Noticing something, Anna suddenly pulled out a black string from deep within her crimson hair. The string was connected to a unique pendant, slowly rising from her pale white neck. She put the pendant on Gu Qingshan's neck and spoke very seriously. Live, Gu Qingshan's eyes showed a look of surprise. He wanted to say something, but a screen suddenly flashed. Gu Qingshan disappeared in front of Anna. A few moments later, a shadow silently came from afar, stopping in front of the shuttle. The shadow stood up, turning into a sunglasses man with slicked back hair. "Princess, this is an official visit. If you suddenly leave, it'll cause a lot of controversy," Feng Huode shrugged, half helplessly trying to persuade her. Anna silently sat in the cabin, not saying a word. Feng Huode looked at the princess, feeling a bit strange. In the past, whenever he tried to persuade the princess, the two of them would always get into an argument. What's going on today? Her Highness doesn't even have a hint of disdain on her face. Looking at how lonely the princess is, it seems she was hit by something? Feng Huode thought for a bit, then softened his tone. "Your Highness, this is just a small matter. It's fine if you don't mind. Are you okay?" Anna lowered her head, not saying anything. It wasn't until Feng Huode was about to call the medical team that the princess spoke up. "Huode, I'm here, Your Highness. Have you ever lost someone important to you?" Yes, but that was a long time ago. I don't know why, but I'm suddenly afraid that I won't be able to see a single person anymore." What's going on with the princess? Why are her words so strange? Feng Huode was a bit worried, couldn't help but carefully observe the princess, trying to find any clues. Suddenly, "Your Highness, where's your life substitution contract?" Feng Huode shouted. Princess Anna didn't say anything. Feng Huode could only feel cold sweat running down his spine. He fell to the ground, muttering in pain. "It's over." Princess Anna looked far away, muttering, "It'll be okay." It's hard to tell if she was talking about Gu Qingshan or herself. A barrier of light wrapped around Gu Qingshan, moving forward in the space vortex. Gu Qingshan rubbed the pendant on her neck, feeling all kinds of emotions. The pendant was a statue of an old man with a peaceful expression, leaning on a long scythe, resting his chin on his hand, taking a nap on top of a rock. This is a life substitution contract, the death god's keepsake. The person who has this, the death god will extend their life at the moment of their death. Such a miraculous ability isn't free. The death god will absorb twice the life force from the last person who had this item. The death god never does unprofitable business. Gu Qingshan held the pendant tightly. This miraculous item has existed since 10,000 years ago, a legendary item. Who would have thought it would be in Anna's hands? And who would have thought Anna would hang it on her neck? This girl, what a troublemaker. If something happens to me, she'll be finished. Gu Qingshan smiled bitterly, her eyes became determined. In the past life, I already owed Anna a life. Even though I became a great sword saint, she was already dead. I didn't even have the chance to save her. This life, I can't let that happen. In front of him, a glowing hole slowly opened. Chapter 48. A transparent black fog covered the entire world. A rain of fire rained down from the sky. From the void of space, a hole opened up. Gu Qingshan flew out while covered in a light barrier. Under the sky, the sound of fighting caught Gu Qingshan's attention. On the hill a few hundred feet away, a sea of demons were trying their best to get to the top. A few cultivators stood back to back, fighting the demons with everything they had. A few moments later, another cultivator was dragged out by the demons, screaming as he was eaten alive. "No, little brother!" Among the cultivators, one of them screamed in pain, ran out of the formation and started killing the demons. However, there was no effect at all. The stimulation of blood made even more demons go crazy, and they rushed towards the hillside in an overwhelming manner. In just a few breaths' worth of time, that impulsive cultivator was also killed and eaten alive. There were only 6 to 7 human cultivators left, like candles in the wind, about to be extinguished at any moment. Gu Qingshan carefully looked at them and muttered, "Seems like these are the troops General Sun Yi left behind, not all dead yet, they're quite capable." Gu Qingshan didn't want to watch any longer, so he used his spirit energy to break through the almost transparent light barrier and flew towards a certain direction. That was the place he chose, not too far from the hill. Since most of the demons were drawn away by the cultivators on the hill, it's still relatively safe. Landing on solid ground, Gu Qingshan retracted his spirit energy and held his breath. Demons can sense spirit energy waves and breathing, so I have to be careful. An extremely stinky gust of wind hit him. Gu Qingshan abruptly dodged and flew back a few feet. Crack! A loud noise came from behind. A large mouth full of sharp teeth bit the ground, then reluctantly retracted. As Gu Qingshan turned around, his heart sank. A rotting eater demon was crawling forward, like a slowly moving mountain of rotting flesh. An intense stench came from all over. This monster eats anything, especially rotting corpses, so after a long time, its body is now giving off a horrible stench. Under normal circumstances, even other demons would avoid this monster because it was simply too smelly. The rotting eater demon didn't manage to bite its prey, so it angrily puffed up its cheeks and spat out some mucus, trying to trap its prey in place. Not only was it difficult to break free from this sticky liquid, but it could also corrode one's flesh and blood. If one was not prepared and got sprayed by it, one's 5 senses and flesh would vanish into nothingness. This rotting eater demon's body was emitting a powerful aura, far more powerful than normal rotting eater demons. It had most likely reached the Foundation establishment realm. Its saliva might even be able to corrode bones. Gu Qingshan was already prepared for this move. She quickly retreated, barely dodging the spit. One of the cultivators on the hillside cast a surprised glance at him. In fact, when Gu Qingshan appeared in this space, she was immediately sensed by them. When they discovered that the person who came was only an aura-refining cultivator, the hope that had just ignited in their hearts was once again shattered. The cultivators were already in despair. They thought that this brat wouldn't be able to last more than a few breaths of time, but the result was completely unexpected. Gu Qingshan was only aura-refining realm, an entire realm lower than the rotting eater demon, but she was able to predict the enemy's movements and evade its attack. Her performance can be said to be quite impressive. Seeing its prey evade again, the rotting eater demon was so angry that it wanted to roar again. Once it makes any noise, it'll attract even more demons. With Gu Qingshan's cultivation, if she's surrounded by so many demons, the only thing that awaits her is death. At the last moment, the rotting eater demon suddenly felt something being stuffed into its mouth. The rotting eater demon was stunned. With its brain, it couldn't understand what was going on. It instinctively opened and closed its mouth, chewing the thing in its mouth. It feels strange, it's not the kind of food that it likes to eat, but it's still edible. The more it eats, the more delicious it feels, it even has some benefits to it. The food calmed the rotting eater demon down. But what exactly is this? The rotting eater demon slowly reached out its claws to pull the thing out of its mouth, wanting to see what it's eating. It wants to remember this thing, so it can add the same thing to its recipe in the future. Seeing that, Gu Qingshan silently crouched down and slowly retreated out of the rotting eater demon's sight. Just now, he took out a bunch of snake demon skin and bones, threw them into the demon's mouth. The rotting eater demon is a monster that can even swallow rocks as food when it's hungry, not to mention a rare demon beast like the snake demon. Its skin and bones contain a lot of energy, so it'll definitely be tastier than rocks and rotten corpses. While the rotting eater demon's attention was attracted by the food, Gu Qingshan silently escaped. He hid behind a pile of rocks, carefully observing his surroundings. There aren't a lot of demons around here. Most of them are rushing towards the hill. On the hill, the battle was getting more and more intense. 6 to 7 cultivators were surrounded by layers upon layers of demons, unable to advance or retreat. The cultivators were struggling to survive, so they couldn't help but use all their spirit energy to fight. Even from afar, the spirit energy waves coming from their bodies could still be felt. After watching for a while, Gu Qingshan's expression became serious. These people are at least Foundation Establishment realm, some are even Golden Core realm. Whether it's those cultivators or the horde of demons, they're all not something he can handle. My cultivation is too low, there are a lot of methods that I can't use, then I can only. Just as he was thinking, 3 to 5 demons in the surroundings noticed him. They roared and gathered, using their bodies to push other demons away, afraid that they'll have another competitor for food. Gu Qingshan didn't even look at these Foundation Establishment realm demons, only took out a formation plate as he retreated, holding the plate in one hand, using the other to move his spirit energy, quickly hitting the formation plate. His hands didn't stop as he shouted, "Come this way!" On the other side, one of the cultivators died. The corpse was eaten by the demons, the remaining ones are in even more danger. Hearing that, they couldn't help but look over, seeing Gu Qingshan holding a formation plate, surrounded by light, they couldn't help but be happy. A formation plate. A formation user. It's a formation user. That's great, we're saved. Formation users are extremely rare, every single one of them is treated like a treasure by their sex. Why would he appear here by himself? They don't have time to think about that. Seeing a glimmer of hope for survival, their spirits were lifted, forcing the demons around them to retreat a few feet. Under the command of a cultivator, they slowly approached Gu Qingshan. The cultivator pointed out 2 people and ordered, "He's only a Qi training realm, you 2 are fast, go protect him." Yes. This formation user is their only hope for survival. The leader also waved the jade fan in his hand, trying his best to cast a spell. Groups of demons were turned into ice sculptures under his spell attacks. Even if some of the stronger demons weren't frozen, their movements were slowed down. Sword cultivators and blade users rushed forward, their swords flashed, quickly taking the demons' lives. With such a large-scale spell cast, the blade user and sword cultivator moved as fast as lightning, reaching Gu Qingshan in just a few breaths' worth of time, killing all the demons that tried to get close. Gu Qingshan glanced at the 2 of them. His eyes were glued to the swordsman's hand, unable to move away. That's a sword. Looking at the sword in the swordsman's hand, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but twitch his fingers. Ever since his return, Gu Qingshan can't even remember a single sword style. All the sword styles that he's learned seem to have been purposely sealed by the system. He can faintly sense that the system did this to minimize the risk of traveling through time and space, so that he can avoid some terrifying troubles. Gu Qingshan can still remember clearly, after his return, the system said, "Smuggling success." But now that he's been reborn, the mysterious seal on his body still hasn't been lifted. His instincts are telling him that he needs a sword. Just like countless years ago, he needs a sword that can kill. The Foundation Establishment Peak Realm Sword Cultivator noticed Gu Qingshan's gaze, and looked at him strangely. No, not yet. Gu Qingshan held back his impulsive thoughts, turned around and focused his gaze on the commander. So that's how it is, he's awakened the water element and reached the second stage, the frost realm. If it weren't for him, these people would have been dead already. Gu Qingshan silently paid attention, then turned to look at the two cultivators at the back. The two cultivators stood on either side of the commander, attacking with their bare fists and legs. Each of their attacks sent a large number of demons flying. They're martial cultivators, their blood essence is almost solid, the power of martial thaumaturgy circulating throughout their bodies. That's right, they're real martial grandmasters, almost at the early stages of martial eminence. Behind them was a horde of demons that was as large as a mountain and as large as a sea. After a few breaths' worth of time, they've already reached Gu Qingshan's side, protecting him. The leading cultivator closed his jade fan and hurriedly asked, "What formation is this? Do you need our protection?" Everyone looked over. Setting up a formation takes time. If Gu Qingshan takes too much time, when everyone can't hold on anymore and the formation still hasn't been set up, it'll become a joke. Gu Qingshan shook his head, saying, "I'll be done soon." He tapped the formation plate and formed a hand seal. The formation plate that Gongsun Ji gave him has a few advanced formations attached to it. Gongsun Ji taught Gu Qingshan the specific hand seal to activate the formation plate. Every time a certain formation is activated, spirit energy must be used in conjunction with the corresponding hand seal. A formation user needs to form hand seals to set up formations. At a glance, Gu Qingshan really does look like a formation user. Only a highly skilled formation user like Gongsun Ji would be able to recognize the hand seal and recognize that he's a fake. The only flaw is that the formations on the formation plate can only be used a limited number of times. After they're used up, the formation plate is useless. Now that the situation is dire, and the cultivators here are strangers, Gu Qingshan might as well pretend to be a formation user for once. Water, wind, mist, earth, dark sky escape formation. As Gu Qingshan infused his spirit energy, the formation plate shines with starlight as deep as the sea, among which there are 4 especially bright lights flickering. The formation is done. The strongest escape formation on the formation plate is activated. Gu Qingshan's spirit energy is reduced by 70%. The light covers him and the cultivators around him. In a split second, the cultivators all disappeared from the sea of demons. The countless demons couldn't find their target, so they all screamed and screamed. A few moments later, they all started to fight each other. The few most terrifying giant demons couldn't hold themselves back after a while, grabbing a few demons and throwing them into their mouth. After chewing for a while, they dragged their giant bodies away. Their actions immediately extinguished the other demons' morale. A few moments later, half of the demons have already left. Inside the escape formation, the cultivators are all lying on the ground, breathing heavily. Chapter 49. I thought I was going to die, but I was saved, I know, right? Thank you, fellow Taoist. The cultivators all looked at him gratefully. Gu Qingshan sincerely clasped his fist. This humble one's strength is low, the only thing I'm good at is formations. Please take care of me during the battle later. He can already tell that these people are all Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators. In a dangerous place surrounded by demons, fighting together with a group of cultivators with higher cultivations than himself, Gu Qingshan feels like he's walking on thin ice. He has a deep understanding of how evil people can be. Gu Qingshan's words are very sincere, causing the Foundation Establishment cultivators to have a good impression of him. Someone followed up. It's fine, we're all following General Sun here, as long as we can hold on, the General will come to save us soon, another person said in annoyance. It's because we weren't careful and were discovered by a demon that suddenly appeared, that's why we ended up like this. Gu Qingshan silently sighed, but didn't say anything. They then started to talk with Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan has his own way of dealing with people, so he gets along well with everyone. Normally, foundation establishment cultivators wouldn't even look at aura training cultivators. The reason why Gu Qingshan can get along with these foundation establishment cultivators is mainly because he saved them from a life and death crisis, and he's also a powerful formation master. On the battlefield, formation masters are rare and popular. That's why cultivators don't treat Gu Qingshan as cannon fodder, forcing him to stand at the front of the group. If it was at another time, under different circumstances, these foundation establishment cultivators might as well kill him with a wave of their hand. While they were adjusting their breathing, the leading cultivator asked again, "This formation is quite good, how long can it last?" As soon as he asked, everyone else quieted down. Gu Qingshan finally had a chance to evaluate him. This person is around 20 years old, his eyes are cold and spirited, he's wearing a light blue armor, holding a long fan in his hand, his body is very clean, after fighting for so long, not even a drop of demon blood could be seen on him. Fire-type and wind-type cultivators like to use fans as weapons, while water-type cultivators rarely use fans. His light blue armor is emitting a cold light of frost, forming a faint icy mist around his body. What a good set of frost armor! This armor alone is worth a few 100,000 low-grade spirit stones. This person is most likely a direct disciple of a large sect. Gu Qingshan silently raised his evaluation and answered, "This formation can last for half an hour." Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Half an hour is enough to restore a portion of their spirit energy. Their stamina will also be greatly reduced. The man's expression loosened and he ordered, "Everyone, rest and recover your spiritual power. We'll move out in half an hour." Tapping his inventory bag, he took out a few pills filled with spirit energy and gave them to everyone. When it came to Gu Qingshan, he also gave him one without hesitation. Gu Qingshan received the pill, put it in front of his nose and sniffed it, then was a bit surprised. "Such a precious pill. It's a bit of a waste for a Qi training stage cultivator to use," he said. "It's fine, we're in a dangerous situation right now. Use it to restore spirit energy," the person said. "Very well, thank you," Gu Qingshan nodded, accepting his kindness. "This is a top-notch Crimson Crane Qi capturing pill, worth 1,000 gold, no, 10,000 gold. This is a very precious pill, able to quickly and permanently restore lost spirit energy without any burden on the body, so it's very famous among cultivators. A single pill like this is enough to save a person's life in a normal battle. To be able to give such a pill to everyone, this person's personality is quite good. His background must be very noble. This person is a bit older than Gu Qingshan. His words and actions are quick and clean, but his eyes are cold and emotionless, with a faint sense of alienation. Noticing Gu Qingshan looking at him, he thought for a bit, clasped his fist and said, "This humble one is Ling Tianxing, a direct disciple of Yaoguang sect. I thank you for your help, Yaoguang sect?" "Just as I thought," Gu Qingshan silently thought. "This is one of the biggest sects in the cultivation world, having been around for over 100,000 years, a well-known sect in the entire cultivation world. But in the past life, such an outstanding person didn't have any fame, so he must have died here. Not to mention this person, even Gu Qingshan herself can't guarantee that she'll survive in this destroyed world." Gu Qingshan silently sighed, clasped her fist and said, "This humble one is Gu Qingshan." Ling Tianxing clasped his fist and said, "Nice to meet you." Neither of them are talkative people, so after exchanging pleasantries, they went their separate ways to rest. Very quickly, everyone closed their eyes and entered a meditative state. Gu Qingshan tapped her inventory bag, took out the military Qi training scripture, and flipped to the back. On the War God UI, he checked the soul points value. To comprehend the 7th stage of the military Qi training scripture, Heavenly Hall will cost 6 soul points. Comprehended, current soul points, 21/7. After doing all that, Gu Gu Qingshan put the precious crimson crane chi holding pill into her mouth, then took out the snake blood and drank 3 mouthfuls in a row. If she doesn't find a chance to break through now, she might die here, so she has to try no matter what. Gu Qingshan has made up her mind, using the crimson crane chi holding pill's medicinal properties, combined with the snake blood that increases her spirit energy sensitivity, she'll be able to break through to Qi training stage 7. Time quickly passed. Inside the formation, a small wave of spirit energy slowly spread out, like a pebble thrown into water, creating small ripples. When Gu Qingshan uses soul points to break through, she can instantly overflow her spirit energy. This slight change had a slight effect on the surrounding environment. The world's spirit energy is changing. Everyone opened their eyes in surprise. Lung Tianxing's expression loosened a bit, saying, "Congratulations, fellow Dao Seeker Gu, you've improved." Gu Qingshan bitterly smiled, shaking her head. "It's only Qi training stage 7, it's all thanks to your pill. You're too polite, my life was saved by you." It's nothing, it's nothing." Everyone congratulated her one after another. Their morale increased by 30%, all the cultivators could see the joy in each other's eyes. Every time a cultivator breaks through a realm, the world's spirit energy will flow into their body, replenishing the spirit energy they used, until their dantian is full. Pills work too slowly, how could they compare to the world's gift? Since Gu Qingshan broke through, in just a few breaths' time, the spirit energy he used to set up the formation was fully replenished. And as he reached Qi training stage 7, his total spirit energy also increased by 30%. What does it mean for a formation user to recover to their peak state? This meant that Gu Qingshan would be able to arrange the formation again, perhaps even twice, because his total spirit energy had greatly increased. The cultivators present all had a plan in their hearts, and they knew the magical effects of that formation. To be able to hide from thousands of demons, it's practically a life-saving formation. Because of that, everyone's chance of survival increased by a bit. But what they don't know is that Gu Qingshan doesn't know anything about formations. If that's the case, Lung Tianxing stood up. "We'll head northwest, there's a cave there. It's a hiding spot that General Sun Gong arranged for us. There's a permanent concealment formation, we can rest there." "Got it. Vice General Ling is the most knowledgeable, I have no objections." "Yes, sir," everyone answered. Gu Qingshan silently looked at his map, seeing that it's exactly the same as what he said. He finally calmed down. At this point, 70% of the demons have left, only a few that are still fighting each other are still there. Lung Tianxing began to pick people and assign tasks. "Wu Jin, Ma Lu, the 2 of you take the front. Wang Qing, Luo Xiao, the 2 of you take care of the flanks." He then looked at Gu Qingshan, saying, "You're a formation user, so you'll stay in the middle to protect yourself. Is there a problem?" Gu Qingshan answered without hesitation. "No problem. Breaking through the encirclement of countless demons, no matter which direction you go, is dangerous, but staying in the middle of everyone is a lot safer. Gu Qingshan's formation is too powerful, no matter how many demons there are, they won't be able to find their position. At a crucial moment, this can save their lives." The sword cultivator called Wang Qing suddenly asked, "Vice General Ling, what about you?" Lung Tianxing's face was expressionless as he answered, "I'll stay behind you, I'll cover the rear. Covering the rear is the most dangerous," but Lung Tianxing left that position for himself. Everyone was filled with respect. Chapter 50. Hearing him say that in front of everyone, the cultivators all felt a bit excited. Yao Guang's sect has been around for hundreds of thousands of years. Their guest retainers have always been treated extremely well, at least 30% better than the elders of normal sections. The cultivators all looked at each other excitedly, silently swearing to do their best. The entire atmosphere within the formation had changed. Seeing that, Gu Qingshan silently nodded. This Lung Tianxing really is someone from a top-notch sect. He's very good at dealing with people. With just a few words he managed to raise everyone's fighting spirit. Charging through the sea of demons, if you don't have any fighting spirit and determination, you'll quickly be surrounded by despair. If that happens, everyone will be finished. Lung Tianxing finally said. Everyone get ready, as soon as the formation disappears, we'll move out. No one objected, so everyone stood up. Gu Qingshan also stood up, sneaking a glance at everyone. Standing at the front of the group were Wu Jin and Ma Lu, both burly and full of blood essence. Wang Cheng on the left was holding a sword, while Luo Xiao on the right had a large blade resting on his shoulder. As for Lung Tianxing, he only held a fan in his hand, his expression cold and calm, standing in the middle of the group without saying a word. Gu Qingshan squinted her eyes, glancing back and forth, then had a good idea. Two martial grandmasters, a sword cultivator, a blade user, and an elemental cultivator. Together with me, a formation user, this isn't a bad lineup. While Gu Qingshan was thinking, the cultivators all silently made their final preparations. The light of the formation flickered, then disappeared without a sound. Wu Jin shouted, "I'm going first!" "Go, we'll follow behind you." Ling Tianxing patted his shoulder and encouraged him. Wu Jin shouted, every muscle on his body swelled up, his blood essence turned into 2 streams of white gas, coming out from his nose. He let out a chuckle and slowly lowered his shoulder, aiming the heavy shoulder armor that was covered in spikes outside the formation. Mountain Reliance. Shouting, Wu Jin stepped out of the formation, relying on the sturdy shoulder guard to move forward a few dozen meters. The demons along the way were either knocked into the air or pierced through by his pauldrons. Wu Jin grabbed the demon hanging on the pauldron, broke its neck, and threw it to the side. Dozens of meters later, Wu Jin's momentum slowed down, and he swung his 2 huge fists wildly. Chain punch! Die, all of you! The demons were caught off guard, a few of them were smashed into meat paste by Wu Jin. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 10 breath. Hoo hoo hoo. Wu Jin opened his mouth and spat out a puff of white air. His figure paused for a moment. After erupting with his full strength, he was already showing signs of fatigue. "I'll do it next." Ma Lu took his place and transformed into a giant, wielding a metal rod. He struck the demons along the way until they staggered. Taking advantage of this moment, Wang Qing drew out his long sword and Luo Xiao drew out her broadsword. The 2 of them jumped out together. Saber light and sword shadows overlapped one another, slashing the fiendish demons beside Wu Jin and Ma Lu into bursts of blood mist. Gu Qingshan followed without hesitation, holding the formation plate in her hand and shouted, "Spirits of the earth, heed my command, break!" The waves of demons that were rushing up suddenly fell down. Under their feet, the ground split open, forming a bottomless crack, trapping them in there, unable to move. Lung Tianxing was surprised. This formation user, although his cultivation isn't high, he can easily arrange formations. His knowledge of formations is quite high. He's a good helper. A good chance. Lung Tianxing raised his fan, formed a hand seal without hesitation. True frost slash. Thin white lines that gave off intense cold air suddenly appeared in front of the group. Like harvesting rice straws, they quickly cut through the demons stuck on the ground. A large area of the demon wave was cleared out. The pressure on the people at the front was also greatly reduced. But after Gu Qingshan finished arranging the formation, she threw the formation plate in front of her chest and quickly moved her hands. Wind, fire, lightning, water, heaven and earth spirit gathering. A light connected into a ring, covering the 6 of them. What? A mobile spirit gathering formation! Lung Tianxing exclaimed in shock. The Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators were shocked, but quickly noticed their spirit energy was slowly recovering, so they were happy. Wu Jin laughed. "Ahaha, good formation user! If we can make it back alive, I'll definitely recognize you as my brother." Wang Cheng is a cold-faced swordsman, swinging the black blood off his sword, exclaiming, That was awesome. Normally, a spirit gathering formation can only be set up. Once it's moved, it'll lose its effect. Only a powerful formation user can temporarily set up a small mobile spirit gathering formation next to themselves. Gu Qingshan's move successfully shocked everyone. No one dared to look down on him anymore. Formations are the hardest to learn out of the 6 arts. The hardest to learn is divination. To learn formations and divination, it's like going against the flow of a waterfall or climbing a heavenly chasm. Generally speaking, out of 100 talented cultivators, there would be 5 or 6 who could advance to the Golden Core realm. But at the same time, out of 100 talented cultivators, there might not even be a single one who's able to learn formations or divination. This is one of the reasons why Gongsunji has such a high evaluation in history. Good, Ling Tianxing praised. His left hand formed a hand seal. His right hand waved his fan, activating all his spells. Frost Blade Soul Snatch. The air slightly twisted, a crescent moon-shaped ice ring shot out, cutting the demons that caught up to them into pieces. Just like that, they've already covered half the distance. Not far. Lung Tianxing saw how tired the 2 body cultivators were, so he loudly cheered them on. Everyone's spirit was lifted. Gu Qingshan looked around, then suddenly reminded, Wang Qing, Luo Xiao, you're too far, it's dangerous. The sword cultivator and blade user were killing the demons, getting further and further away from the group. They've already left the range of Gu Qingshan's formation. Hearing that, Wang Qing turned around to look at him. While he was hesitating, Lung Tianxing suddenly shouted, Come back! Wang Qing's heart jumped, wanting to run back. But it was too late. A giant demonic hand came out from the ground, grabbed Wang Qing, squeezing him into a ball of flesh and blood. A sword cultivator who's good at killing died just like that. His sword was covered in blood, still spinning in the air, about to fall into the endless horde of demons. In that split second, Gu Qingshan reached his hand out, circulating all the spirit energy in his body to pull Wang Qing's sword from afar and pulled it back. On the other side, the blade user Luo Xiao was about to run, but a crimson gold demon grabbed his leg and threw him to the ground. Almost at the same time, Luo Xiao didn't even have time to scream before his head was bitten off by a demonic hound. The demonic hound was afraid that the other demons would steal its food, so it grabbed Luo Xiao's head and quickly ran away. The other demons all rushed forward, crazily devouring Luo Xiao's body. The demons were stimulated by the smell of blood and screamed in excitement again. More and more demons were rushing over. With 2 cultivators dead, the pressure on the rest of them increased. In just a few moments, Ma Lu and Wu Jin were covered in blood. Not a single part of their body was left intact. Gu Qingshan's heart tightened, asking, How much further? Ling Tianxing hesitantly spoke, We're almost there, should we just go ahead? Gu Qingshan looked at the 2 body cultivators and spoke in a low voice. We can't, demons are the best at judging the situation, knowing that we're moving forward, they'll definitely be prepared. He turned the formation plate and shouted, Water, wind, mist, earth, blue heaven formation. This formation can only be used twice in total. After using it this time, they won't have any other way to avoid the demons. The formation plate lit up, drawing the spirit energy of heaven and earth from the void of space. Water, wind, mist, earth, the 4 types of spirit energy are arranged in a specific position, forming the formation in an instant. Chapter 51. The food that was about to be in their mouths disappeared without a trace. All the demons screamed in despair. After waiting for a few more moments, there's still no sign of any cultivators. The ground started to shake. A demonic ghost covered in fire jumped out from the ground, shaking its head as it looked around, letting out an unwilling roar. As soon as it appeared, all the demons around it subconsciously moved away from it. This is a terrifying crimson flame ghost, the 3rd stage of elemental fire, magma, extremely powerful and hard to deal with. To kill it, a Foundation Establishment realm cultivator shouldn't even think about it. Seeing this, Lung Tianxing's back was covered in a thin layer of cold sweat. Fortunately, he didn't move forward. No matter how experienced or how capable he is, he's still only able to move forward and retreat among human cultivators. This is another world, a world that's already been destroyed. The endless demons made him feel like a child in a dangerous situation. If he's not careful, he'll die. Lung Tianxing shook his head, feeling helpless. Wu Jin stood up straight, ignoring the blood all over his body, and laughed. "Ahaha, I finally made it, I made it." Then his voice stopped. Wu Jin's eyes widened as he fell backwards. His body smashed onto the ground with a dull thud. Almost at the same time as Wu Jin fell, Gu Qingshan stepped forward, crouched down in front of the corpse and pressed her hand on his chest. "He's dead," Gu Qingshan coldly said. The other two's expression changed, releasing their inner sight to check. Wu Jin really didn't have a heartbeat or breath. Ma Lu angrily roared. Lung Tianxing silently lowered his head, holding the fan in his hand tightly. Gu Qingshan took out a dagger from the corpse, stabbed it into the corpse's chest, opening it up in just a few moves. "Stop!" Seeing that, Ma Lu angrily raised his fist to attack Gu Qingshan. He's always been good friends with Wu Jin, but because of his grief, he decided to kill Gu Qingshan as well. A fan stretched out and pressed down on his fist. Ma Lu's eyes were bloodshot, shouting, "Vice General Ling, I won't forgive him for doing this to old Wu's body. I won't let him off." Lung Tianxing stared at Gu Qingshan's movements and spoke in a low voice. "Let's wait and see." Gu Qingshan stabbed the dagger into her chest and twisted it around her heart. The heart was cut open, and a low scream rang out. Gu Qingshan's expression was solemn as she slowly sheathed her dagger. Ma Lu stared at the dagger with his mouth agape. A thumb-sized pitch-black imp was strung on the dagger. The pitch-black imp struggled with all its might, but the dagger pierced through its chest, and it could not escape no matter how hard it tried. Its hands and feet were covered with sharp nails, and when it grabbed the dagger, it made a clanking sound. Heart-stealing little demon, it enters from the mouth and eats the heart. Gu Qingshan sighed and handed the dagger to Ma Lu. "Avenge Wu Jin." Ma Lu's eyes were bloodshot as he held the dagger between his fingers. The pitch-black imp let out a blood-curdling screech, and together with the dagger, it was crushed by him. "Hee, ha 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 ha, I didn't expect such an ending." Ma Lu suddenly laughed like mad. Lung Tianxing's expression changed, held him down and said, "The dead can't come back, don't get yourself killed." Ma Lu pushed him away, screaming, he's dead, do you understand? We're all going to die here." Gu Qingshan stood up and spoke very seriously. "That won't happen, we still have a chance. I'm going to run away first." Ma Lu's bloodshot eyes stared at Lung Tianxing, then at Gu Qingshan, speaking incoherently. "I'm going to leave first, don't stop me, who dares to stop me?" Saying so, black smoke began to rise from his body. As soon as this black smoke appeared, even Gu Qingshan's expression changed. Gu Qingshan and Lung Tianxing exchanged glances, seeing the fear in each other's eyes. Gu Qingshan took a few steps back, one hand holding the formation plate, the other hand behind his back, ready to take out his bow at a moment's notice. The sword is still in his inventory bag. He hasn't had the chance to use it yet. Lung Tianxing's expression was as cold as water, holding his fan as he took a step back, then another. The two of them stood side by side, spirit energy surging from their dantians, ready to strike. "Kill, kill, 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 kill all the demons!" Ma Lu muttered as a layer of black light enveloped his body. Numerous black flowers appeared out of thin air, and countless stunning beauties appeared within them. All of them posed seductively, staring at Ma Lu with bewitching eyes. The black smoke circled around Ma Lu a few times, split into two and entered his ears. Then, another cloud of black mist entered his mouth. In the end, the thick black fog seemed to have become solid and entered his eyes. Ma Lu's bloodshot eyes were slowly replaced by black. Kill, he spoke with a hoarse voice, stepped out of the formation, swinging his fists to kill all the demons outside the formation. But very quickly, even more demons surrounded him, turning him into a moving meatball. The demons opened their jaws wide, trying to bite him. But Ma Lu didn't seem to notice at all, still walking forward, throwing punch after punch, killing all the demons that came at him. A few moments later, the flood of demons devoured Ma Lu, not even leaving a single strand of his hair. It wasn't until now that the black smoke slowly dissipated. From the void of space, a satisfied moan could be heard. Delicious. Soul. Gu Qingshan and Ling Tianxing silently watched this. Both of them were soaked in cold sweat. After a while, the two of them looked at each other. What exactly is this? Ling Tianxing muttered. Even someone like him who doesn't care about anything was a bit scared right now. Tianma, an almost invincible existence, Gu Qingshan sighed, looking around. What is a Tianma? Ling Tianxing asked. A type of demon without a body, specialized in breaking the Tao heart and stealing souls. Gu Qingshan didn't want to say much, afraid that he would lose his fighting spirit. Damn it! Damn it! Why did even a Tianma appear? I don't have any Buddhist items to defend against it. With a Tianma around, the situation is 10,000 times more dangerous than before. Tianma are invisible, always able to see through a cultivator's Tao heart's holes and devour their soul vessel. Neither Ling Tianxing nor I have a way to deal with it. Tianma are very territorial, unless they have no other choice. They usually don't want to leave their territory. Right now, the only way to survive is to leave this place as soon as possible. Thinking that, Gu Qingshan quickly asked, "Do you have any more Crimson Crane Chi holding pills?" Ling Tianxing took out 2 crystal-clear pills, holding them in his palm. The last 2, Gu Qingshan didn't hesitate and said, "Give them both to me." Ling Tianxing looked at her. Gu Qingshan said, "First of all, you didn't use much. Second of all, I'll lead the way." "You'll lead the way?" Ling Tianxing was a bit surprised. "That's right, we've already reached the point where we have to either die here, or fight our way out." Gu Qingshan spoke in a low voice. He can already tell, Ling Tianxing is an expert in spells, but he's weak in close combat. If he doesn't have a powerful teammate to help him cast spells, no matter how strong Ling Tianxing is, he won't be able to make it through this last part of the journey. Very well. Ling Tianxing went silent for a bit, then said, "If you die, even if I have one more Crimson Crane Chi holding pill, it'll still be useless." He threw the 2 pills to her. Ling Tianxing didn't use much in the battle just now, so even if he ate this pill, it wouldn't be as valuable as Gu Qingshan's. Once Gu Qingshan recovers all her spirit energy, she'll be able to open the formation again, allowing the 2 of them to hide again. If that was the case, they would have another chance to catch their breath. That was what he was thinking. He didn't know that the formation could no longer be set up. Gu Qingshan received the 2 pills, popped one into her mouth, and carefully put the other away. In his mind, his evaluation of Ling Tianxing increased by 1 point. It was one thing to understand, but it was another to be willing to part with such a precious medicinal pill. Being able to be so generous even in a situation of life and death, he's already a qualified comrade. If that's the case, I can fight without worry, just to get out of Tianma's territory as soon as possible. Gu Qingshan made up her mind and said, "The formation can still hold for a bit, you should rest first." Chapter 52. You're also a martial cultivator? Ling Tianxing looked at him putting on the pauldrons, finally couldn't help but ask. Gu Qingshan didn't bother to answer, only pointed in a direction and asked, "The place we're going, is it that way?" Ling Tianxing followed his finger and answered, "That's right, that direction is filled with demons, there's not even a place to stand like a tidal wave. If they want to escape from that direction, It'll be a bloody battle. Gu Qingshan scowled. Both he and Ling Tianxing are good at long-range attacks, but without a martial cultivator to clear the way, the two of them will quickly be drowned by the horde of demons. In the following battle, they'll need a close combat martial cultivator to hold them off. In truth, a sword cultivator can also hold off this many demons. As Gu Qingshan thought about it, he suddenly tapped his inventory bag and took out a sword. This is the sword that Gu Qingshan used all his strength to retrieve after Wang Qing died. Gu Qingshan held the sword, carefully looking at it. From the outside, it looks like a standard sword. The only thing special about it is the word Qianqi engraved on the hilt. Carefully sensing it, the blade of the sword carries a bit of coldness. Gu Qingshan lightly swung the sword, the coldness silently spread out. Sword cultivator Wang Qing is a Qianqi captain, so according to the corresponding treatment, his sword was made with a bit of precious chilling soul iron. With this bit of chilling soul iron, the sword becomes twice as sharp. The only bad thing is, the blacksmith only cares about sharpness when forging the sword, so the blade is half an inch too thin. It's easy to bend or even break in an intense battle. You know swordsmanship? Ling Tianxing saw him so focused on the sword, so he asked. Right now he doesn't dare to look down on this formation user whose cultivation isn't that high anymore, so he's treating him as an equal. Gu Qingshan's expression didn't change at all, only answered. I know a bit. In his vision, the War God UI's notifications started to pop up. Discovered sword, detected that the player knows 1753 types of sword technique. Detected user has War God UI and War God skills. There are no traces of godfiends. The environment is stable and safe. Removing protective measures. Beginning memory return. Awaken. From now on, players can use soul power to awaken their swordsmanship cultivation. Gu Qingshan stood up and lightly swung her sword. Ding. The system beeped again. According to the player's memory, considering the player's current cultivation, the sword techniques that won't cause the player's body or soul to collapse are listed below. A few options popped up on the War God UI in front of Gu Qingshan. Sword Art, Wine/Sword Art, Sword Art, 100 Tai Sword Art, Sword Technique, Flowing Cloud Sword Technique, Sword Technique, Mountain Splitting Sword Technique. Sword Technique, 4 Seas Sword Technique, Secret Art, Water Flow Severance. In view of the fact that the player already has a deep understanding of the various sword arts, the cost of awakening the previous sword arts cultivation has been minimized. Awakening Sword Technique costs 5 soul points. Awakening Secret Art costs 10 soul points. A secret art is a powerful sword technique. These types of sword techniques usually only have a single strike, the king of all sword technique. From a cultivator's point of view, a secret art is a sword cultivator's thaumaturgy. Glancing over, Gu Qingshan quickly made her choice. Awakened Wind/Sword Technique, Mountain Splitting Sword Technique. Awakened Secret Art, Water Flow Severance. Ding. Wind/Sword Technique, Mountain Splitting Sword Technique, Secret Art, Water Flow Severance have been awakened. Soul points cost 20 current soul points. 1/7. Following the consumption of soul points, Gu Qingshan felt a series of memories popping up from the depths of her forgotten memories. The memories that were sealed away in her mind suddenly became vivid, as if they only happened yesterday. In a military camp at the front line, a group of soldiers were whispering to each other. Ahaha, he wants to learn the first 3 strikes of wind/. He's nothing but a piece of trash. The game has already been going on for over half a year, yet he only knows to enter the game. That's right, we're already getting used to our swordsmanship. He's only just joined the vanguard. But that's fine, we'll have someone to be cannon fodder from now on. That's right, from now on, when we go out for missions, let him take the lead. Ahahaha, that's right. The voices of discussion stopped. The scene changed. The moon was in the middle of the sky, there was no one around. The young him was alone, training his swordsmanship in a secluded place. The skin on his right hand is already broken. His hand is wrapped in several layers of bandages. As he holds his sword, he feels a sharp pain. No, I can't give up. This is my only chance to change my fate. Gu Qingshan gritted her teeth and made up her mind. Her sword swung again. A layer of blood slowly seeped out from the bandages. He was sweating profusely, training his swordsmanship. This scene slowly disappeared, and soon after, a new scene slowly appeared. Vanguard's Gu Qingshan, brave and courageous. Having killed a demon, special reward is wine/sword technique's secret art, yes. The scene disappeared, replaced by a new one. On a high platform, Gu Qingshan was smoothly performing the wind/style. That's a bit interesting, but he's too old. How unfortunate, at this age. His potential is limited, we don't want him either. That's right, he's almost 20 years old and only knows a single wind/. His comprehension isn't that great, we don't want him either. Then it's decided. The semester examination first round results in elimination? I think that's fine. Then it's decided, the next one, get on stage. The scene changed. Gu Qingshan was like a zombie, standing still on the desolate street, ice and snow covering his body. Suddenly, two cultivators walked past him, whispering to each other. The auction house has quite a few sword techniques up for auction. I've taken a liking to one of them, but the price is quite high. I'll need to go back and gather some spirit stones. Ah, is that so? Do you want me to help you? Then I'll thank you, senior brother. As soon as their conversation reached Gu Qingshan's ears, Gu Qingshan abruptly turned around. Fellow Dao Seeker, is what you said just now true? Where did this Qi training realm trash come from, Scram? You're Gu Qingshan? Have you really thought about sneaking into the demon's territory to collect herbs? As long as your promise payment doesn't change, our shop's 1,000-year reputation will never change, then there's no problem. Little brother, I want to remind you, if you die in the demon's territory, we won't be responsible for collecting your corpse. No matter, no one will need my corpse to mourn. Ha, what a pitiful person. Then it's settled. The scene disappeared. Countless scenes appeared and disappeared, but the sword technique was becoming clearer and clearer in his mind. His memories were all awakened. Gu Qingshan sighed and raised his sword. I'm finally back, I'm the sword saint, Gu Qingshan, his low voice was heard. Leng Tianxing was a bit confused, so he became cautious. He's broken down. Did the Tianma come again? Gu Qingshan slowly walked, swinging his sword as he walked, slowly getting used to the sword technique. All the sword techniques shown on the War God UI just now were ones that he knew and had a high level of proficiency in. The reason why he chose these 3 sword techniques was because Gu Qingshan had seriously thought about it. Wind/style is fast, Kaishan style is heavy, they complement each other perfectly. Chapter 53. Furthermore, after awakening the wind/style, he can normally hide his sword in the void of space, then use his spirit energy to activate the style to draw the sword from the void of space at any time. Just this alone could make up for the time spent on countless sword-drawing movements. In the past life, a lot of people learned the wind/style because the act of drawing the sword from the void of space is super cool. Countless sword cultivators would sell their blood to buy a wind/style to keep up appearances. The reason why Gu Qingshan chose this style was because he's about to enter a horde of demons. This style is very convenient for drawing the sword, as well as its fast slashing speed, very good for advancing quickly. This is also the first complete style he obtained by risking his life to kill demons. As Gu Qingshan swung his sword, all sorts of emotions flowed through his heart, fluctuating. Standing on the side, Leng Tianxing was a bit hesitant. The scene in front of him is too strange. The young man is wearing a shoulder guard for collision, holding a sword in his hand, as well as a large formation plate on his back. Martial cultivator? Sword cultivator? Formation user? Formation user isn't too bad. No matter if it's martial arts or sword cultivation, as long as you have talent in all six, you can learn both. But that's already very rare. Cultivators who learn both martial arts and swordsmanship at the same time are even rarer. Looking at the way Gu Qingshan swung his sword, he's obviously a veteran swordsman. Ling Tianxing couldn't help but ask, "What exactly do you cultivate? Swordsmanship or martial arts? Why can't I tell?" Hearing that, Gu Qingshan also felt a bit of a headache. "I can't just say I use soul points to learn technique." He thought for a bit, then said, I'm not a martial cultivator, nor am I a pure formation user," Ling Tianxing instinctively repeated. "Not a martial cultivator?" Gu Qingshan swallowed a crimson crane chi holding pill, then said, "I know a few fighting techniques, but I wouldn't dare to call myself a martial cultivator. I also know a few sword styles and formations, that's what I'm talking about." Ling Tianxing was a bit shocked, still a bit confused. Gu Qingshan didn't speak anymore. She closed her eyes and adjusted her breathing, completely releasing the boundless spiritual energy from the Crimson Crane energy manipulation pill. After a while, Ling Tianxing said, "You've learned too many things. In the future, it'll be even harder to reach the top of a single skill." This was a well-intentioned advice. It was not a good thing for a cultivator to be distracted too much. In the future, it would be very difficult for them to break through to the next realm. Gu Qingshan sensed his good intentions and smiled. "Don't worry, it's just some tricks." Ling Tianxing, "A trick?" Gu Qingshan, "Yes, a way to survive." These words were plain, but when one thought about them carefully, they were filled with the vicissitudes of life. It was as if he had experienced all the hardships of struggling to survive. This was also the true portrayal of humanity's bitter struggle to survive in the last few years of the apocalypse. Ling Tianxing went into deep thought. As soon as she finished speaking, Gu Qingshan stood up and leaned forward slightly. Just like Wu Jin did earlier, she aimed her pauldron at the outside of the formation and moved it back and forth a few times. Gu Qingshan said, "There's about half an incense's worth of time before the formation disappears." Ling Tianxing couldn't help but ask, "How do we cooperate?" Among everyone here, he was the natural leader, but after everyone else died, leaving only him and Gu Qingshan, he unconsciously took Gu Qingshan as the leader. A Foundation Establishment Realm Peak Stage Cultivator asking for the opinion of a Qi Training Realm Cultivator, this is a very rare sight. Neither of them were aware of this, but it happened naturally. Gu Qingshan pointed her sword outside the formation and said, "Do you see that rotting eater demon? It was the demon that ambushed him when he teleported here." Ling Tianxing answered, "I see it." Gu Qingshan said, "This monster is extremely smelly, it eats rotten food, humans and ghosts hate it. I want you to take one of its eyes." Ling Tianxing's spirit energy moved, stood up and said, "You want me to kill it?" Gu Qingshan stopped him and said, "No, use your wits," only to see Gu Qingshan put the Heartstealer imp on the ground, chopped it up, then took out a portion of demon snake blood and poured it on the Heartstealer imp's body. After that, Gu Qingshan dug out a few rocks about half the height of a person and neatly arranged them on the ground. He carefully smeared the imp's body on the rocks. Ling Tianxing silently watched this. Everything the other party had done was beyond his imagination. Outside the formation, the rotting eater demon was slowly moving. It was still hungry, and wanted to find a crippled demon to eat from among the surrounding demons. But the other demons all stayed far away from it. They would rather fight with other demons than to get close to the smelly rotting eater demon. Although the rotting eater demon is strong, its movement speed is too slow. Other demons of the same rank can outrun it, so it can only eat rotten things. While the rotting eater demon was troubled, it suddenly heard a thud. A strange thing covered in an alluring smell fell next to it. From the looks of it, it's a square rock, but the color is a bit different. It seems it's the color I like. The rotting eater demon instinctively sniffed it. The smell of blood. This thing smells good, but it's too small. barely enough to fill the gap between its teeth. The rotting eater demon originally didn't want to care, but the alluring smell of blood mixed with a sense of power made it hungry. Finally, the rotting eater demon jumped over, bit the thing on the ground together with the rocks on the ground, and chewed. Tastes good, but there's too little. While the rotting eater demon was regretting, another strange thing fell not too far away from it. This distance, it only needed to move a bit to reach it. The rotting eater demon slowly crawled over and ate it. Power, fragrance, delicious taste mixed with a sense of coldness. The rotting eater demon directly ignored the last feeling. Is there more? It was full of hope as it waited. A miracle happened. Another square rock fell not too far away. The rotting eater demon quickly crawled over. Gu Qingshan looked at the rotting eater demon and said, "It's here, you only have one chance to attack." Leng Tianxing couldn't help but become nervous. "What if I fail?" Gu Qingshan replied. "Then we'll have to think of another way, but there's no better way than this." Leng Tianxing asked, "What if I succeed?" Gu Qingshan very cautiously said, "Give me the eyeball right now. After I'm done, the formation's time limit will also be up." "All right." Leng Tianxing took a deep breath and stared at the rotting eater demon. He wasn't worried that Gu Qingshan would betray him. After all, he's a realm higher than the other party. If he uses his full strength before dying, he'll have a way to drag the other party down with him. He looked at Gu Qingshan. This guy isn't an idiot. He won't ruin things in this kind of situation. At this time, Gu Qingshan lightly shouted, "Do it!" Leng Tianxing circulated his spirit energy, wielded the feather fan in his hand, and swung it in the air like a blade. Frost Blade True Slash! Outside the formation, the rotting eater demon let out an earth-shattering roar. A thin line of frost appeared on its forehead, followed by black blood splattering everywhere. The frost blade that appeared out of nowhere cut off half of its head. It was heavily injured and even lost an eye. This kind of injury, even for it, is quite heavy. The rotting eater demon rolled on the ground like it had gone mad. The two people inside the formation didn't look at it anymore. Instead, they released their inner sight to scan the sky full of rotten flesh. The large yellow eyeball flashed in the air, falling towards another group of demons. Leng Tianxing quickly put away his fan, raised his left hand and shouted, "Come!" Chapter 54. Success. Gu Qingshan and Leng Tianxing both felt relieved. Leng Tianxing held the eyeball. His cold expression quickly changed. Just by holding the eyeball, Leng Tianxing's hands were already covered in stinky mucus. He quickly threw the eyeball to Gu Qingshan, took out a handkerchief, used a spell to draw water, and washed his hands. It was so stinky that Leng Tianxing couldn't take it anymore. He came from an aristocratic family, a dragon among men. Everything he eats is the best, even the sect he joined is one of the best, not to mention the treatment he received. He's never touched such a filthy thing in his life. Leng Tianxing would rather charge into the horde of demons and kill for a while longer than touch this thing again. Well done! Gu Qingshan praised him, took the rotting eater demon's eyeball, and chopped it into mush. Holding the mush in his hands, he smeared it all over his body. Very quickly, the standard armor of the vanguard started to emit a horrible stench. Leng Tianxing was obviously disgusted, asked, "Do you know how stinky this is?" While smearing it, Gu Qingshan answered, "The rotting eater demon's body fluid is inside the eyeball. If you smear this on your body, the demons will instinctively think you're a rotting eater demon. Our spirit energy is limited. If we don't use this, we'll die for sure in front of these powerful demons." He held the mush-like eyeball in his hand, showing it to Leng Tianxing. "Although you don't need to lead the way, it's still very dangerous behind. I suggest you do a bit as well." Leng Tianxing retreated a few steps without hesitation, frowning. "I don't need this," Gu Qingshan very seriously said. "You don't need this. If you get caught by the demons, you'll definitely die." Leng Tianxing looked at the mush-like eyeball again, shook his head. If you smear this on your body, you might as well reincarnate. People from big sects are indeed different. Gu Qingshan shrugged and begrudgingly pulled her hand back. A few dozen seconds later, the two of them were ready. Gu Qingshan said, "Let's go." Very well. Ling Tianxing stood up, signaling that he's also ready. Gu Qingshan took a deep breath and looked at the war god Yui. Consume 1 soul point to learn martial skill. Mountain Lean, remaining soul points. 0/7. A warm current flowed from the pauldron into Gu Qingshan's body, and finally gathered in her sea of consciousness. Gu Qingshan pointed in a direction and said, "We'll break through from here." Seeing that, Leng Tianxing was a bit surprised. "If we go this way, we'll have to take a detour," Gu Qingshan said. "I've already checked. There aren't any overly powerful demons along this path." Leng Tianxing suddenly looked at him and said, "You know demons very well." Gu Qingshan patted his shoulder and said, "Yes, I am a soldier of the vanguard." Without waiting for Leng Tianxing to ask, Gu Qingshan shouted, "I'm going!" His qi and blood surged as he dashed out of the formation. Mountain Lean. Just like Wu Jin, Gu Qingshan was able to display the exact same fearless charge. The only difference was that he had a bit less spirit energy compared to Wu Jin, so his charge was a bit weaker. But as Gu Qingshan dashed out, the number of demons he knocked away was several times more than Wu Jin. The two of them aren't even on the same level. Gu Qingshan dashed forward. His heavy pauldron slammed into a crimson metal demon, sending it flying. As the crimson metal demon was about to roar in the air, a sword gleam flashed and cut off its head. Facing the rain of blood, Gu Qingshan held his sword in one hand and ran. His sword was like the wind, his figure like a ghost. Gu Qingshan coldly harvested the demons' lives. Leng Tianxing gasped as he watched. "This is wind/style? Why is it so powerful?" Leng Tianxing has seen quite a few sword cultivators use wind/style, but he swore that he's never seen anyone use it to this degree before. "Keep up." Gu Qingshan swung his sword 3 times, sent an elephant-sized demon flying and reminded him. Leng Tianxing finally regained his senses and hurriedly followed. His path was smooth. A few breaths later, the Mountain Lean style was used up, so Gu Qingshan quickly adjusted his balance. The very next second, sword phantoms flashed again and again. His movements were practiced and natural, as smooth as flowing water. Every time he attacked, he was prepared for different situations, not afraid of any ambushes or attacks. Looking at it carefully, there was a unique sense of rhythm to it. Gu Qingshan also felt a bit emotional. The experience of fighting in the mountains of corpses and seas of blood, the experience of taking the enemy's head in the midst of an army of 10,000, it was only after returning to the past that he slowly awakened. It was only now that he could be considered to have been completely reborn. The space-time vortex is a place even more terrifying than the space vortex. He doesn't know what the system was worried about that made it seal all his memories of practicing swordsmanship. Right now, the only difference between him and his past life is that his cultivation is still too low, and some of his swordsmanship skills haven't been awakened yet. With his current cultivation, he can't even think about those powerful swordsmanship skills, otherwise the peerless swordsmanship will directly destroy Gu Qingshan's soul. This is also the war god system's protection for him. Gu Qingshan was rushing left and right among the demons. Wherever he went, the demons all covered their noses and ran away. Demons' sense of smell is several dozen times more sensitive than humans. This is natural. As far as they know, they're only facing a young rotting eater demon. This thing will stick to their bodies after they're killed. The stench won't go away for years. If they eat it, they'll have diarrhea for an entire month. Whether it's the former or the latter, the demons all politely declined. Taking advantage of this, Gu Qingshan suddenly appeared in the middle of the demons like a ghost, silently swinging his sword. In his hand, Qian Qi's sword is like an awakened demon, cruel, bloodthirsty, treacherous, tirelessly swallowing the demons' lives. Facing the threat of death, a few Foundation Establishment realm demons suddenly reacted, trembling and about to attack. Seeing that, Gu Qingshan's eyes became sharp. Continuous wind slash. His sword is like the wind, fierce and fast. Wind slash styles fast slash. Gu Qingshan's movements are clean and precise, without any unnecessary movements. Every swing of his sword cuts off the demons' necks, arms, waists, legs. After a breath's worth of time, there's not a single demon that can move around him anymore. Moving forward a few dozen meters like this, when Gu Qingshan's sword slowed down, the demons' screams finally erupted. The demons that are extremely far away didn't react at all, they weren't attracted by the screams of their own kind. Killing is also common among demons, they're already used to it. There's no smell of human blood, but there's a thick stench of decay. Obviously a rotting eater demon has appeared. Who would want to mess with such a disgusting thing? The demons also have a bottom line, so they all turned around. Although it sounds like a long time, it's only been a few dozen breaths worth of time since Gu Qingshan and Ling Tianxing started to break through. The two of them miraculously moved forward a few hundred meters, so smoothly that Ling Tianxing thought he was dreaming. Just as they were about to reach their destination, a strange demon suddenly appeared in front of them. This demon's body was covered in flames, demonic aura surged, even the place it was standing on was scorched red. Crimson Flame Demon! Ling Tianxing exclaimed. But Ling Tianxing couldn't get away to deal with the Crimson Flame Demon in front of him. Because he doesn't have a stench, the demons that followed him were too much for him to handle. Luckily, Gu Qingshan's speed was fast enough that the demons couldn't surround him, so he wasn't overwhelmed by them. I see it, follow me, Gu Qingshan said. Ling Tianxing didn't know what to say. The Crimson Flame Demon is a fire-type demon, its body is made of black flames, it's immune to physical attacks, so it's very hard to kill. The Crimson Flame Demon's abilities are all spells, so once it's activated, it's extremely hard to deal with. A single Crimson Flame Demon can fight against two Foundation Establishment realm cultivators at the same time without losing. Even he doesn't have the confidence to deal with this monster, let alone the Qi training realm Gu Qingshan who's facing it head-on. Gu Qingshan dropped her sword and rushed forward a few steps. Qian Qi's sword flipped in the air, then disappeared without a trace. It was hidden by Gu Qingshan using wind/style in the void of space. Seeing the two of them rushing towards it, the Crimson Flame Demon smirked, opened its mouth to spit out a fire-type spell from a few dozen meters away. We're too far away, I can't do it in time. As soon as Ling Tianxing saw it, he knew it's a matter of life and death. The Crimson Flame Demon's fire-type spell has reached the realm of magma, the two of them can't block it at all, so they can only dodge to the side. But as soon as they dodge, the momentum of their charge dissipates, so if they want to move forward again, it'll be several times harder than before. That's basically a dead end. Ling Tianxing's heart sank. He's too busy dealing with the demon behind him to stop the Crimson Flame Demon's attack. Could it be this is where I'll die? A bow suddenly appeared in Gu Qingshan's hand. Before he even moved, a streak of light already shot out from the bow. Bombardment! Sharpshooter! Riding wind! Gu Qingshan's arrows, under the effects of a bombardment and riding wind, have both speed and damage. A cold gleam flashed. Clang! The arrow hit the Crimson Flame Demon's forehead. The Crimson Flame Demon's head jerked up. The Crimson Flame Demon is a big demon, it's very strong. It can't be killed by Gu Qingshan's Qi training realm spirit energy. But Gu Qingshan's goal has already been achieved. Under the arrow's attack, the Crimson Flame Demon couldn't help but raise its head, spitting out a terrifying flame that it had already prepared, straight up to the sky. That works too? Ling Tianxing muttered, a bit lost. It took him a lot of effort to accept that she's a dual cultivator of martial arts and swordsmanship, but then a Bao came out of nowhere and saved his life with a single arrow. As a direct disciple of a big sect, Lung Tianxing is very knowledgeable. As soon as Gu Qingshan's Bao moved, he immediately recognized riding wind, a sharpshooter, and bombardment, the 3 archery skills. They're all general-level archery skills. Lung Tianxing is going crazy. Just who is this person? Is he a natural-born saint? Otherwise, how could he study formations, martial arts, swordsmanship, and archery to such a degree at the same time? Lung Tianxing couldn't help but think. In reality, right now Gu Qingshan is basically a great sword saint, suppressing his cultivation to Qi training realm to fight against the demons. With his experience, he doesn't even need to think to find the best way to fight. Gu Qingshan still didn't say anything, taking advantage of the fact that the Crimson Flame Demon still hasn't regained its senses, rushed forward and rammed into it with its shoulder. Mountain lean. The Crimson Flame Demon was sent flying, landing in the middle of the demons a few dozen feet away. The demons were shocked by this, angrily rushed forward, and started to fight the Crimson Flame Demon. The Crimson Flame Demon dizzily crawled back up, furious, about to retaliate, but got caught in the middle of a group of demons, unable to escape. "All right, let's go," Gu Qingshan said in a low voice. Lung Tianxing felt a bit numb. Gu Qingshan silently checked her spirit energy, noticing that after reaching Qi training stage 7, her spirit energy has increased by a lot. The amount of spirit energy needed for a single attack dropped from 90% to 50% now. She still has some left over. Gu Qingshan put away her bow and clenched the void of space. Qianqi sword appeared, caught in his hand. He stopped, using a few breaths worth of time to adjust his breathing. As the demons around him saw the sword in his hand, they all stopped, hesitating for a bit. They roared, watching each other, waiting for the other demons to attack first. An extremely rare scene appeared. In just a few breaths worth of time, the horde of demons silently retreated. None of them tried to attack first. Gu Qingshan stood still with her sword in hand. Her eyes scanned through the horde of demons and muttered. Lung Tianxing heard what the other party said, but naturally thought he heard wrong. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.